let's call the meeting to order. Just there's some unfamiliar faces here, so just if folks don't know, I'm Brian Shoup, I'm the chair of the select board. Why don't we go around really quickly, just to introduce ourselves.
Dave Babiclan, Select Board.
Fred Messer, Select Board member.
Larissa Ersprung, Vice Chair.
York Haverkamp, Town Administrator.
Great, and so before we get started with our business, we are asking whether there's any additions, removals, or modifications to the meeting minutes. And Kurt Lindberg's here. We did want to add a proposed contract for trail development on Scragg to the amendment. We approved the RFP a couple of meetings ago. And Misha from the Path Association is here, is also requested to raise an issue regarding a potential grant for trail development and path design. So if there's any objection, I'd like to add this.
Where, no objection to.
I would suggest that we do the trail development after the first item, before the presentation. I think that will be a very quick discussion, and then maybe wait until after the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission presentation for the Path Association. That makes sense.
Sounds good.
And, okay, if there's, is there anybody here for public forum? It's something that's not on the agenda that you have to speak to the board about. Guess not. So the first item for business is liquor license approval. Consideration for a first-class liquor license application for Joy Restaurant. And Emma?
That's me.
Hi.
Hi, do you want to come up to the table?
Sure, thank you. Thank you.
So we have a practice of requiring first-time liquor license applicants to come with the board, kind of get an understanding of what your proposal is. And we used to require folks to come back the first 3 years just to check in and see how things are going. We revised that lately to 2 years of kind of check-in, just to see how the process went for the first year.
Great.
And we don't have the license in front of us. It used to be, we'd get a paper copy, but now it's an online application with
Yep.
Department of Liquor Control, so we really don't have that much information.
Okay.
What are your plans?
My plans are to open a small restaurant. It's at 172 Mad River Green. Most recently it was Collaborative Brewing, kind of early in just pre-pandemic. So it's a lovely little setup for what I'm looking to do. I have been working in restaurants for a little over 20 years, living in the area for about 5, and when this opportunity came up, I excitedly accepted the offer to try to get a restaurant going. I'm doing loosely Mediterranean inspired menu, lunch and dinner 6 days a week, lunch 6 days a week, dinner 3 nights a week, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays to start. Hours 11:30 to 4:30 for lunch and 5 to 9 for dinner, and I just want it to be a community gathering spot. I love bringing people together and creating happiness around food and fun drinks, and looking forward to seeing the people I've gotten to know so well in the Valley in these past 5 years, working first at Lawson's and then at Mad River Glen for the last few years. So.
And you're aware of all of the required trainings?
Yep, I'm up to date on my personal server certifications, as are the people who I have on my small but really experienced crew, so I'll make sure that to keep everyone up to date on that stuff. You know, in the 20 years I've been working in restaurants, I've never had an issue with liquor over-serving or any of the, issues that can come up in that sense. So I'm take that all very seriously and plan to continue to do so, and just want to give people a place to get as much good food, and I plan to work with local farmers and butchers and keep everything as, full circle as possible, and just looking forward to being able to do that.
Hey, lunch.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other questions? And just remind me, first class is full bar? one site?
This one is beer and
Beer and
wine,
wine.
and then
Yeah.
it'll bounce back to the state. Once this gets approved, then the state, as I understand it, would then approve the liquor license
Okay,
as
so
well.
that will be a future application.
Kind of, I apply for both at the same time, and this one comes first, and then that one, it seems like will kind of, as a result of this one being approved, if I'm not wrong.
And that's a better Jen question. I mean, Jen.
Yeah, I just
Jen,
wonder if we could save her another trip.
Yeah.
If, do you have any questions that you would ask her based on a full bar that would be relevant?
I don't think so. Brad, you?
Thinking. I think, subject to any clarifications from Jennifer, I'd move we license her.
So the motion would be to approve the first class and the pending second class? Is it third class?
It would be third class.
Third
Yes.
class.
Yeah.
Second class is retail.
Is
Yeah,
retail.
exactly.
If we get an affirmative from Jennifer, I see no reason to have her come back.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great. Good luck.
Thanks
Thank
for
you so
coming.
much, I really
Thanks very
appreciate it.
much.
Thank you.
When do you think you'll open?
December 5th is my reasonable goal. I think
Cool.
this was my first hurdle in that sense, so
Yeah.
Good
thank
luck.
you so much, I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Kurt, you want to address the Apex Trail Works proposal?
And I handed out a copy of the Apex Trail proposal.
If you haven't signed, would you please? We need a board.
Yeah, thank you, Fred.
Do we have a clipboard?
A clipboard.
No.
I
have
can,
my office.
I can provide a iPad
Magazine.
case.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Not quite right, but it's better than nothing.
Thanks for coming, Fred.
Hi.
Take care.
Hi. As you know, this is the second phase of the improved trail network at Scrag Mountain Town Forest. We went through an RFP process, and the Conservation Commission selected Apex Trail Works. That is the group that did the first phase of the trail work, and they did a superb job. They were also the only bidder. Most of the trail builders are into the mountain bike trail building business now, so they're kind of hard to find, but they did an excellent job, and the price was below the estimate that we'd gotten from our trail designer. So the Conservation Commission is ready to go, and we want to get this signed soon so we can get on their calendar for June of next year.
I was just curious, would this come out of the town forest stewardship fund?
Yep,
Because there's not quite enough money in the Scrag Reserve Fund.
right.
Okay.
Didn't we see this recently, or is this?
We saw the
something-
RFP.
We saw the RFP, okay.
Yeah, this is not new.
Okay, I was like, wait a minute, didn't we already?
I'm sorry, they did the phase one?
They did.
And they did a great job.
They did, yeah, I know. We were thrilled that they want to come back, and they had a good experience in Waitsfield too, so.
Any questions?
It's exciting, thanks.
Yeah.
On the motion?
I make a motion to,
Say no?
No, I was just gonna say, who is signing the contract?
I think Josh was about to make a motion to approve the contract and authorize you to sign it.
Oh, okay, sorry.
precisely.
If that's what you're doing, I
Answer was so
apologize for
long.
interrupting. Is that what you're gonna do?
Yes, I will make that motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Thanks, folks.
Thanks, Kurt.
Next item is a presentation on the implementation of Act 181, Future Land Use Planning by the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission. Brian Voigt is on Zoom. Brian, and somebody else from?
Yep, and I think my colleague Nikki Sabato should be in the room.
Yeah,
please.
come on up.
Yeah.
So who's gonna start? And Don is our alternate to the Regional Planning Commission.
Yes, so I I was going to start and give you just a broad overview of Act 181 and what we've been tasked, the RPC has been tasked to do through the future land use mapping process and methodology, and briefly explain the tiered framework with you, which is this new updating Act 250's jurisdictional threshold. So I'm Nikki Sabato. I'm a planner with CVRPC, Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission. I work a lot with towns on municipal plan updates and bylaw updates. I'm also working with future land use mapping with Brian Boyd and doing the outreach for that. So after I give you just a brief introduction and overview, we'll pass it to Brian and he can kind of elaborate, and he is the actual program manager for this map. So anything to add, Brian, or should I just get into it?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so in 2024, Vermont legislature passed Act 181, and this updated Act 250 Vermont statewide land use permitting to create a tiered framework for location-based land use jurisdiction. Act 181 requires the regional planning commissions to develop this future land use map as part of our regional planning process. Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission, we're currently working on a draft future land use map and updates to the regional plan. We anticipate submitting the regional future land use map for state approval in early 2026. A little bit about the tiered framework. As I said, Act 181 shifted Act 250's jurisdiction from being triggered by the size of the development to being location-based. And they organized it into three tiered frameworks. So it's Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. Tier 1 is composed of Tier 1A and 1B. So these are both areas for capacity for growth. Tier 1A areas will have full Act 250 exemption and transitions Act 250 jurisdiction for planned growth areas to municipalities that have administrative capacity. Tier 1B areas will have up to 50 units exempt from Act 250, and this limits Act 250 jurisdiction to encourage smart growth housing, sorry, it's a tongue twister there. I think Waitsfield could qualify for a Tier 1B, and really there's no action today. It's to inform you, but ultimately the select board will have to sign a resolution if the town were to opt in an area to Tier 1B. I'm not saying you don't want to go for Tier 1A, but I think we haven't seen any town in central Vermont going for that at this moment. So Tier 2, the jurisdictional thresholds will remain the same, and this is the status quo. Municipality can stay as a Tier 2 and follow the similar Act 250 review format as it has been. Tier 3 will have additional jurisdiction for critical natural resource areas. This tier is not based on our regional maps and will be developed by the Agency of Natural Resources. So a few process considerations. So as I said, municipality must demonstrate administrative capacity to implement their local regulations to be eligible for Tier 1. Most of the growth areas, such as village centers, planned growth areas, village areas, this should accommodate a substantial portion of the housing needed to meet the regional targets. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Brian will probably go further on that. And then the intent of the statewide RPC mapping methodology. So it's to provide a consistent statewide delineation of future land use areas. So the areas for growth are to be mapped at a local scale. VAPTA, which is Vermont's Association of Planning and Development Agency, they recommend defining your core areas first and sequencing the map development from the inside out. So I'll go over the categories just a little bit. I also have, I think we sent you, Brian must have sent you this as a resource guide, but also there's a visual that might just, you can pass it around, but this kind of shows you the categories that I'm going to talk about. So the future land use category areas are broken into three sections. So high density growth areas, low to moderate density areas, and rural areas. So the high density would be your centers, the mixed-use areas, where a lot of your economic and civic activity and assets are. These areas will accommodate a substantial majority of our housing growth target. Neighborhoods is also a part of this high-density category. So that's your planned growth areas and village areas. Planned growth areas have high-density existing settlement and future growth areas with high concentrations of population and housing, employment, et cetera. Generally, these areas have an active streetscape and a multimodal transportation system. The village areas, they can be a traditional settlement or a proposed new settlement area, but is within walking distance for residents within and surrounding a center. And then the second section would be low to moderate density. These are transition infill areas. These are generally adjacent to neighborhoods, or they can be standalone if they're served by water, wastewater, or both. Resource-based recreation areas are also part of this, and that is your large-scale recreation facilities, concentrated trail networks, ski resorts, lake shores, anything that's bringing economic activity to the area. Finally, enterprise areas, these of course are high economic activity and employment. They don't have to be adjacent to planned growth areas, and they're typically natural resource extraction or industrial areas. And then finally, hamlets is also part of this category, and these areas do not meet the criteria of a village center, not yet, but they might down the road if you're planning growth there. But for now, they're on the map, they aren't really planned for significant growth. And then finally, section 3 is rural areas. So rural general is the area for low density residential and some commercial development that's compatible with productive lands and natural areas. Rural ag and forestry, that's your carefully managed development which promotes working landscape and rural economy. And then finally, rural conservation, separate from the Tier 3 conservation overlay. This is areas of significant natural resources identified by the RPCs, us, and also the municipalities, and based on existing A&R mapping, so Agency of Natural Resources. I'll pause there because I give you a lot of information on the categories, and Brian, I'll pass it to him to elaborate on a few items and then we can open it to any questions you might have.
Before you go, Brian, I should just speak for transparency. I stepped down as the director of the Vermont Natural Resources Council last year, and this was a legislative priority. They put a lot of time into it, and I have since been retained by them to review at least the first round of future land use maps that the regions are doing for compliance with the statute. We're doing Rutland, Chittenden, and Northwest Vermont. I don't think that presents any conflict. I don't think that I'm going to be sticking with it beyond these 3 towns. I just wanted to let folks know that.
Appreciate it.
So, Brian?
No pressure there then, thanks Brian. I'm glad we're not-
I wanted to make it clear before you talk, Brian.
Well, I'm sure I'll still manage to put my foot in my mouth, but interesting to hear, and I did go see the Rutland presentation last week, and it was pretty fascinating to listen to the give and take from the board on that. So I just want to touch on a couple of things before we open up the floor to questions and discussion here, and just be really clear about what this map is and is not. So as Nikki mentioned, we're in the process of developing this regional future land use map. And I want to be really clear that this is not a zoning map. It does not dictate where development will happen, but in a sense it dictates how development will be permitted based on these tier designations. I also want to note that as I'm sure you're all aware, Waitsfield does have a state designated village center, and the village center designation does not go away with the creation of this new map, so that the benefits that the town realizes now through that state designation program will continue through the period at which time the program itself will sunset, but the designation itself will remain. So the area that is the village center designation currently will be designated as a village center on the future land use map, and it's possible that we may be able to expand that boundary a little bit, depending on a number of different factors.
Hey,
Nikki mentioned
Brian,
the yeah.
Question, are you talking about the historic village or the new Irisville kind of neighborhood growth center?
It had a
So,
neighborhood,
both.
it had a neighborhood designation.
Got it, so both,
Yeah,
both
I-
would
I-
continue?
yeah.
Thank you.
And it just, one of the reasons, it's going away, but it's being replaced with something else, and what's happening is, we had these designations, which were really kind of redevelopment or new development programs that provided tax credits and other grants and benefits for development in the village centers. And then they started to merge it with doing regulatory exemptions, and that didn't go as well for a lot of people as they thought, so they split those programs. So now you have the Land Use Review Board doing, and the Regional Planning Commission's doing the regulatory stuff, and a new investment board is doing the tax credits and all of that. And they're related, but they're not, but they're separate now. Go ahead,
But,
Brian.
so yes to everything Brian just said, except for I want to be really clear, the regional planning commissions are not doing any regulatory work on the land use side. So yeah, as Nikki touched on the exemptions under tier 1, I just want to reinforce that this tier 3 designation will actually lower the jurisdictional threshold for Act 250. These tier 3 areas are the designated critical natural resource areas from a state perspective, so that might not match what is in the town plan as a critical area. Again, these are from the statewide perspective, and I was at the public meeting last week where they discussed the map viewer that they've put up with some of the draft data, and it looks like that tier 3 designation, at least in its current form, covers just under 7%, I think 6.5% of the state, and there are definitely some proposed tier 3 areas in Waitsfield, most prominently along the Northfield Range, as you all might expect. And then the last thing that I want to mention really briefly is the road rule. So there will be a road rule, a revised version of the road rule that goes into effect where a road serving a single private residence, if that road extends beyond 800 feet, it will be subject to enhanced jurisdiction, and then a network or a combination of roads and driveways serving a multi-unit development, that limit is 2,000 feet. Again, that would trigger some enhanced review. And I'll just note that the road rule will only apply to those locations that are either tier 2 or tier 3. So just in short, there is an area within the town that seems ripe at least for tier 1B. The remaining portion of the town, if the town were to choose to pursue that, the remaining portion of the town would be a combination of the tier 2 and the tier 3. Anything outside of that tier 1B area would be subject to the road rule. That area designated as tier 1B would not be subject to the road rule. So with that, I will stop, and Nikki and I would be happy to answer any questions that folks have.
What is your schedule? Where are you in the process?
So we have visited now with, I think you're the 20th town, so we have 4 more towns, Brian. Brian anticipates completing the map by the end of November and putting a interactive map online, hopefully by early December, so that the public can comment and provide input. We encourage landowners also to be a part of this process. We're also starting, I think we're gonna have 2 different public input sessions, hopefully one in December before the holiday, and then one in February, perhaps after we've incorporated a lot of the comments from the public.
And then is that the point where you'd prepare a draft for the
For
land use review board?
I believe early spring, is that right, Brian? for land use review board review?
Yeah, because we're also working on the regional plan as well, Brian, so the whole package is gonna go to the land use review board. We're not just submitting a revised map, at this point. We wanna do, everything at once.
One thing, another new thing is that the Land Use Review Board actually reviews the regional plan for consistency with the state planning and development goals, which has not had a review process in a couple of decades, and this is part of it. But the future land use map a draft goes to the board early, or does the whole plan go to the board as a draft?
It all goes at the same time,
Okay.
is my understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll make available a draft map as Nikki mentioned. Folks will be able to, it'll be an interactive map, it'll be a fairly straightforward interface. You'll be able to pan, zoom, click in the map and leave feedback on what you do and don't like about the map itself. I will mention that, going back to the methodology that Nikki brought up, one of the things that we as regional planning commissions, the Vermont Association of Planning and Development Agencies, was tasked with was to come up with a methodology that all of the regional planning commissions would use to develop or to designate these land use classes. So that methodology really specifies things like the data sets to use to evaluate whether something is a village center versus a village area versus rural general, for example. And for a lot of the land use classes, a lot of the areas on the map, it's really pretty cut and dried. There will be some areas where it could be, one or more different classes, and in those cases, we'll be looking for additional guidance from the towns for how, the ultimate designation in that area. So for those areas that aren't quite so black and white, like our village centers or our resource-based recreation areas, we do have some flexibility there, and we'll certainly look forward to receiving feedback from the town to see how their impression of the map fits with the categories that have been designated.
Brian, Waitsfield is a little bit unique for you in that you were on our planning commission for several years. Are there any things that really kind of stand out or make you, struggle with in Waitsfield, or does it seem pretty cut and dry?
I think it'll be relatively straightforward. Certainly for the area around the designation, I would expect that a lot of the rest of Waitsfield will fall into one of those rural classes, either the rural general, the rural ag and forest, or rural conservation. I'd have to, the industrial park will be likely an enterprise area. There's nothing, no offense to my fellow Waitsfield residents, we're definitely special, but there's nothing particularly special about the mapping portion of the regional future land use map for Waitsfield that I'm thinking of now. But certainly happy to dig in deeper on that tonight or some other time if you think otherwise, Brian.
JB?
Hey, Brian, can you just talk a little bit about the potential for an expansion of the existing boundaries you mentioned before?
Yeah, so there's some minimum requirements for that village center designation. And so we're talking about things like water supply, wastewater, or appropriate soils. Primarily in addition to staff capacity or willingness from the municipality to contract out the permit review piece. But JB, I think where this gets interesting for Waitsfield, we've got the water system in place. Obviously tons of work going on for the wastewater side of life, but let's just set aside the fact that the wastewater system doesn't exist yet, and note that we do have a water system in place, and that although the soils in the Irisville area might not be totally amenable to more dense development in terms of disposal. There could be areas that are adjacent and outside of that. And I mean, I'm not talking about trying to run it all the way down to Meadow Road, for example, but because we also need things to look at things like sidewalks and complete streets, etc. But it would be possible, I think, to expand beyond the current neighborhood boundaries, or at least I think it's worth looking at the data to see if that's possible, if that's something the town is interested in. And just one other thing that I want to mention, maybe the most important thing that I said out of that last little blurb there was the "for now." This is a living document. It's a planning document. It's an aspirational document. It is not set in stone. So what decisions you make today and throughout the review period and the map that we get adopted, that doesn't mean that things can't change. I mean, well, no, I don't want to be proven wrong. I'm sure our regional plan will be adopted and reviewed by the Land Use Review Board before the completion of the wastewater system. But once the wastewater system comes online, that could have a potentially significant impact on some of this designation, and we might want to revisit at that point whether or not you pursue Tier 1B, whether you want to go after Tier 1A, changing the boundary of that area. All those things are subject to review really at any time as significant developments might warrant.
That's super helpful.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
Hey, Brian, you may have indirectly answered this question a second ago, but as I'm sure you're aware, we have the Irisville master planning effort underway, and a likely Tier 1B candidate would be in that Irisville kind of redevelopment, if you want to call it that. Would these new rules impact the wetlands mitigation or wetlands issues that are in that area? Good or bad?
Short version is no, but that question is complicated by the governor's recent executive order that I'll be honest, I'm not completely sure I understand it at this time, and certainly want to see some other guidance. And so I'm not sure how or if the governor's executive order impacts that. The Tier 1B status, it does not relieve you of any sort of permitting. It's just that the permits, the actual development review itself would not go from the municipal DRB zoning administrators through that process to the Act 250 board. So assuming that whatever development is proposed in that location is does not exceed 50 units or 10 acres in size, then it would be exempt from the Act 250 process, but then JB or JB and a consultant for the town would be the folks that review the permit. So the ultimate decision on permitting a development would fall to the town. Again, but you're still gonna need your, if there's a curb cut onto Route 100, you still need the Section 1111 curb cut permit. If it's going to impact wetlands, you would still need at a minimum a state wetlands permit. Again, I don't know if the governor's executive order touched on sort of the where of the mitigation. I need to get up to speed a little bit better on that.
My understanding, he said that it would no longer apply to unmapped, wetlands rules would no longer apply to unmapped wetlands, and it would reduce the buffer required for wetlands. There are organizations who have a pretty strong position that that's not legal, and the courts will likely figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, because right now in the wetlands rules, unmapped wetlands are still regulated wetlands. They're just waiting to be discovered. So, and I agree with Brian. It does seem like this is going to go to the courts for sure. One thing I think that's really interesting about Tier 1B, everybody looks at that top level number, that 50 units. Again, it's not that it's unrealistic for Waitsfield to get a proposal for a 50 unit development, but I'm hard pressed to think of the last one that went through the town. What I do think is more interesting and probably more realistic for our town, are gonna be these like 10, 15 unit developments that then don't have to go through Act 250. And I do feel like there is the possibility for some substantial progress to chip away at, the housing shortage, if you were to choose to pursue a Tier 1B designation.
Got it. And Tier 1B was up to 50 units, right? So it would accommodate the 10 or 15 that you just mentioned.
Correct.
Any other questions?
It probably doesn't apply. I'm mostly just curious. So tier 1A, there has to be a demonstrated administrative capacity.
Yeah.
What does that mean? I mean, I know that we don't have it, but I'm curious what that, maybe, in future, what does that mean?
I'm pretty sure I've seen JB juggle paperwork and answer the phone at the same time, so that might be, that might count as demonstrated capacity. I'm not totally sure.
Performative
So,
capacity? Okay. Yeah.
So the Tier 1B, and I know you asked about Tier 1A, and I'll get to that in a second, but Tier 1B, you're basically self-certifying that you have the capacity, or you're willing to contract out to have the capacity for these for the permit review process. Tier 1A, there will be a formal application that you submit to you or the municipality submits to the Land Use Review Board, and said application and the complete set of rules around Tier 1A do not exist yet. So I don't know what they're going to be looking for, but I do think you're right. It would be a bit premature for a Waitsfield to pursue that Tier 1A designation. Mostly, if for no other reason than to allow the cities a chance to see what does and doesn't work with the Tier 1A process, and not to stick the town's neck out too far on any given proposal.
I'd say that some of the self-certifications I saw, that I think that Waitsfield probably could document capacity, what with an engineer on retainer and a full-time zoning administrator who has a lot of training and a pretty professional board. But we can have that conversation when the time's right.
And that can be a step, right?
Yeah, and you can
be in tier 1B
Yes.
and then move to 1A several years later, theoretically.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry.
Kurt?
Yeah, Brian, this is Kurt. In terms of the Tier 3 designation, if I heard you correct, the ANR is basically determining that for the state. Are they looking for, or would they consider any input from, like, our Conservation Commission?
So, yes to the first part of your question, Kurt. It is the Agency of Natural Resources that's taken the lead on that with the Land Use Review Board. Do they want your input? Yes, through the public process. I don't think that what they want is for you to lobby about why, for example, all of the Scragg Town Forest should be a Tier 3 designation, or that our local studies have pointed out the existence of what we find to be critical habitat corridors at least at the local level. They're establishing a set of criteria, not necessarily trying to get quite as fine-grained as taking input from all of the conservation commissions in the state. I think that's a bit unfortunate, but that is the process they've laid out. There are two meetings upcoming, two public meetings upcoming for hearing from the Land Use Review Board. So both of them they're in person, but you can participate remotely. One's tomorrow, and it takes place in Newport, and there's also one on Wednesday that's in Windsor. And if you just look at the Land Use Review Board website, those two meeting dates are spotlighted off on the right-hand side with the information to join the meeting. So you can learn more about the process that they have designated so far, and the way that they're evaluating what they see.
Thank you, Brian.
Any other comments or questions?
Anyone from planning commission have?
Yeah, it's what,
Jonathan Hirsch from the Chair of Planning Commission. My questions that I had ready to go were just answered, so I have nothing.
anybody else? Anne Marie or Emma? Don?
No, you guys asked really good questions.
Yes, great.
Thanks for the class. So
Well,
what to
thank you.
take in though, I think that's the part of it, is
Yeah, so
with the work we're doing for Irisville, it just making sure that we're clear about, or we're touching base on this as we're moving forward to make sure that we are setting ourselves up for success and not becoming overly burdensome in our timing, because it sounds to me like we want a fifth less than 50 units to go in, we're talking about 70, I don't think we'd have all 70 going at one time, right? And that's the max, but like, and we were already talking about being phased, but just, I think there's a huge loop in this, in our communication and understanding that you're pointing out to us here, but that we're gonna probably get a little confused about.
When you say our, can you, I mean, our
Our
everybody?
communities
Okay.
planning,
Okay.
right, not the planning commissions,
Right.
but the Irisville planning is, probably the biggest thing that we're looking at right now, and just making sure that we're smart moving forward, and it sounds like we will be, I can't imagine it's gonna be 50 units. 51 units is gonna be proposed right off the bat, but I just feel like that, is something we just need to keep in our heads based on this conversation. And then the wetlands part is the other concern that I heard.
In the status of the
Yeah, so
plan, is just draft out now, right, today?
We're discussing on Thursday.
Sorry, Brian, go ahead.
yeah, I couldn't hear all of the comment there, but the one thing I did hear, I just want to make sure that folks understand that if the town pursues Tier 1B designation and a developer comes in and proposes a 60-unit development, that's obviously more than the 50 that's capped, that doesn't mean that it can't happen. It just means that it would go through the Act 250 process and not be exempt from Act 250 under that Tier 1B designation. So it's not that it couldn't happen, it's just the way that the permit is ultimately delivered will more closely resemble what would happen now versus any exemption to be gained under the Tier 1B designation. And it's also my understanding that, it's per project, so it wouldn't be 51 units, proposed units in Irisville. It would be as long as no single project exceeded that 50-unit number to get that Act 250 exemption.
Anything else?
One final thing, I am happy to reach out to the planning commission and set up, I know we have a consultation coming up mid-cycle of the town plan update, so whenever you want to schedule that, please reach out.
Great.
Yeah, and similarly, we'd be happy to come back to the planning commission if it makes sense, maybe in early December to talk about the Tier 1B area, get some feedback, and then move that over to the select board, because again, the select board would need to pass a resolution that sets the area of town as the preferred location for that Tier 1B designation.
Great. Well, thanks very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Check another one off the list, you're close to the end.
Yeah, home stretch.
Do you want to keep this?
Yeah, the staff did a good job. Great.
Thanks all.
Great, thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Done.
Night all.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Checking out. Bye-bye.
Be sure you want to come up and join the table?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, give me that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kids on bikes. Leveraging cuteness.
Thanks, York.
Yeah, just tell me when you
All right. I'm sorry that I wasn't on your agenda ahead of time. I'm just trying to keep up with this moving from scoping to implementation. And happens to be deadline for all the grants, all at once. So this is directly following on the last time I was here when we talked about scoping report, and this is now we're moving to implementation. And what I'm going to talk about is opportunity we have to apply for a segment 9, which is Millbrook crossing to Fiddler's Walk. So it's this short section of a path that would create connectivity between the Austin Walk and the Fiddler's Walk. York, would you be willing to slide it down so people can see the map? So visually, if you look at the two red lines, we have Austin Walk that's connecting LaRoe swimming hole, and it ends right before Millbrook. And so this section will build a bike pedestrian bridge adjacent to the road bridge, right next to the road bridge, across the Millbrook, and continue for 400 feet, connecting that to the Dugway Road, at which point we're effectively connected to already constructed downtown connector known as Fiddler's Walk, and we've connected the village to all the assets that we have to the south of us, including LaRoe Park and the Flatbread and everything that's there. This is the section that is a pedestrian section where, if you observe that, a lot of people walk that section on the side of the road. So even if nothing else were to happen, creating this connectivity would greatly improve safety. Would you slide down, York? So this is too small for you to see, but if you would open your brochures on the last page, on the back page, this is the implementation schedule. We talked about it last time. And this is that section 9, so I'm right on schedule. This is what was going to happen. It's not like a surprise. It's just I'm trying to keep up with that. And this grant is open, and it has a deadline of November 7th. And this is very small what on the screen, but just so you could, quickly, so you could see where we're moving along. So if we're going as 1 through 10, like really briefly. Number 1, this is Warren Village, Ellen Lane. We are preparing application right now with CVRPC, and we're working with Local Motion. Number 2, this was the big grant to which Town of Warren approved $408,000 local match. We applied for a bike ped grant and we didn't get it, but we got very detailed feedback what we need to do in the next cycle in order to get it. And the biggest part of that feedback was that crossing from Warren Village to West Hill Road need to be put together as a demonstration project and studied before we do next application. Hence, number 1 feeds directly into number 2. Number 3 is a Kingsbury Greenway improvement. We have submitted T-Mobile grant application, so it's out there. We don't have results yet. Number 4 is Cloudwater Farm improvement. 2 for the trails. We submitted that application and it's out there. And then if you would slide York beyond, we're looking for funding for improving Yestermorrow to Munfield, and we're looking for funding to improve Austin Path. 6 and 7, I'm not going to talk about right now. It's just kind of reporting to you on progress. Finally, number 10, that is the downtown connector Fiddler's Walk. We are submitting the RTP Recreation Trails Program grant for improving that to adaptive standard. We submitted it last year. We didn't get the grant, but we got detailed guidance of what to do this year. So as you could see, some of these things, they take more than one take, but if you're diligent and you listen to the feedback, you get a second chance. So that's how it fits into the big picture. If we could move down. So what's it gonna do? It will connect Waitsfield Village to the rec, and the rec hub to LaRoe Swimming Area, LaRoe Farm and Forest, American Flatbread, improve bike and pedestrian safety, implement segment 9, and fill in the gap, sorry for the mistake, in the connectivity between the Austin Path and Fiddler's Walk. And if you could please slide down to the last part of it, and this is what it would look like financially. So this grant is a $600,000 grant with a November 7 application deadline. It requires 20% local match, which is $120,000. Scoping study estimated Millbrook Bridge crossing at $600,000. So this is why this is such a perfect fit, because what scoping study said that bridge would cost is the amount of this grant, and then a 400-foot of shared use path would cost, unfortunately, is just about, based on the scoping study per foot numbers, just about the remaining $120,000. The total grant would be $720,000. I'm here to ask you to commit this local match with understanding that the way these grants work, we apply right now. If we receive it, then there's 4 years before the construction actually happens. 4-year period of NEPA and all the things that you all know really well. So the town's money wouldn't be needed till really almost at least 3 years from now, probably 4 years from now. And what we need to apply for grant is a commitment letter of support from the town.
And just so folks know, when Misha contacted me about being on the agenda, I told him we don't have the authority to make a commitment for spending $120,000 in 4 years. We do have a reserve fund for transportation path improvements, and it's got $70,000 in it. So, if we were inclined, we're more than halfway there. On the other hand, we don't have the authority. If we wanted to put money in a reserve fund, that requires a vote of the voters. I'm also expressed, I share Misha's comment that it's unfortunate that this is coming at kind of the 11th hour, that we don't have an opportunity. We usually don't get asked for a $120,000 commitment with no warning or no real time to think it through. Having said that, I think that a bridge over the Millbrook, if nothing else happened with this path, would be a huge benefit for the community. A way to get to Irisville, down to the little swim hole in the Austin property would be fantastic. I think the best that we can do is commit to working with him and, giving the voters an opportunity to weigh in at the appropriate time. I may be, I don't know, York, if you have any.
I don't know, I mean, that's what I love about Vermont, is that's what our democracy looks like. But it comes with those innate challenges. So I don't know, there's probably a creative solution, I guess, to help come up with some type of letter of support. But whether we could commit more than what we have in reserve, I don't know.
And we have a lot of demands on our infrastructure already, just normal roads and culverts and bridges that we don't know how we're going to fund.
We've got some ideas, though. Sorry, Fred.
I wish you well. But even then, that isn't going to solve a whole problem.
No,
even if that happens.
There's a lot of need.
You're about to say something, Mike?
I think that if you were to say something like you committing what you have and you are supporting the project and you would put it to the voters, and I discuss it tomorrow in my meeting with VTrans, this could very well be enough for the support letter. And we could in the support, we could also say in our application obviously if the town, simple as that, if the town doesn't want the path, they would vote it down, and so the application is dead at that point. Timing, not sure, but something is better than nothing. I'm not asking you to do anything above and beyond your normal procedures. I do ask you to follow through. We have agreed to implementation, and we're just doing what we said we would do for the town.
Well, that was my question on the timing, like what what order do these steps happen in, and what would we actually be committed to if we give a letter of support? I don't think we can actually commit exact funds right now.
Mhm. And yeah, I mean, it's further complicated. We have taken our capital budgeting process pretty seriously
Yeah.
in the past, and this isn't in the current capital budget, right?
No, I mean, as you said, the reserve fund is, I can't remember what we added, if anything, to the reserve the last year.
I don't think we've added anything to the transportation path reserve in a couple of years. In fact, I think it's been sitting there for quite a while. It's what we used to fund the sidewalks and started putting it in place when we got the initial sidewalk grant, which we received in 1993, and the sidewalk was constructed, I think, in 2010.
Yeah,
So it does take perseverance.
yeah. But given if there's 70 grand in that account, I very much agree with you, like, of all the things that would kind of enhance recreational, non-fossil fuel-based transportation around the valley, like, that would be a big one, a really big one. And if 70 of the 120 is already reserved and we have 4 years, personally, I feel like we can find a way. I don't know what that way is yet, but can we craft a letter that says we have this amount in reserve, and provide some language around the fact that we can't commit funds without voter support? We are, willing to go seek that voter support, but we can't commit funds prior. Something that would give you a middle ground to go forward with the application. Because to me, it's a chicken and the egg, right? If you have nothing, but there is no match, it's probably dead and we miss out on 600 grand. Does it have to be a town match, or are there other, could that be fundraising, could that be other?
It can be any match. Part of it could be an in-kind match. As you could see, there's so many segments and there's so much fundraising that we as a path have to do to move forward with the project, that if the town were to commit this over a course of 4 years, provided that we get this grant, this would be nice, because then we know we could continue moving forward. We can improve the Austin Walk, we can improve the downtown connector, we could even temporarily possibly have striping and bollards to make it a safer crossing, but we know that it's going to happen. I would hesitate to say that the town commits 70,000 and we fundraise the rest, because of how much thinly we already spread in fundraising for so many other sections. But if that's what needs to be done, it's up to you. I want us to move forward together. I would rather see the voters needing to approve that and everybody having a say. I would be very happy with that, if it's okay.
So do I understand that this is just for plan number 9?
Correct.
600,000?
600,000 is the grant, and that's the number there is for the bridge. And then
Okay.
the local match will allow us to get all the way to Dugway Road.
And this is for 1/10 of a mile?
Correct. It's working within the right-of-way is very expensive. And so elsewhere, we're looking for every possible way to get away from the right-of-way and lower the cost. But in that particular stretch, there's nowhere to go. We have to be in the right-of-way.
And you have to cross the river.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, not all distances are created equal. I feel like the fact that it's 0.1 miles, I mean, it looks insignificant in terms of like the measurement, but I think there's significance in terms of the ability to connect a bunch of other things.
We met with both landowners, with the Charges and the Medra Massage, and they are in favor of moving forward with that.
Misha, have they said what their timeline is for reviewing the proposals and when they expect to let applicants know the awarding and not?
I will know that tomorrow in my meeting with the grant administrator from V-Trans.
I do think I agree with Chach that there's probably a way to craft a letter of support, depending on what you all want to do, if you want to use the reserve. That actually could look really positive to say, this is what we have in reserve and we're supportive and, you know, this is going to the voter. And I think that there's a way to really make that, have a really good narrative to say that, you know, we're a town built on democracy and town meeting and the town will decide how we want to, you know, fund our projects. And I think that could be a really cool letter of support, honestly. But that depends on the board and what you all want to do.
Yeah, one risk with that approach is they say, great, come back next year when you have the vote.
Yep.
So we'd want to be careful how we.
I think there's a way to word it, don't you?
It depends on how firm a commitment they require.
That's right.
Are those funds, that 70K that are in reserve, are they earmarked for anything else within?
No, and that's why I just hesitate to make a decision on the fly, because one of my goals is to go through all of our reserve funds, and I started to do it, to really know what they were. And I did look at that one, to see that it did start back decades ago and has been used for the sidewalk construction. And but it's called the Transportation Path Reserve.
Yeah, that's the flip side, is given the carefulness of the, you know, budgeting that the select board's done over the past years, slowly putting aside those reserve funds. And then there's a $50,000 gap between what's needed to be committed and what's in there now. So how do we bridge that?
Yeah. On the positive side, is there's 70 grand already there.
Yeah.
It's not $120,000 yet. Because honestly, I don't, the fact that we haven't touched that reserve in a long time and are struggling to remember what it was for, I don't think it's earmarked for anything specific. The only thing I vaguely remember was like sidewalk maintenance, which so far, when a like private landowner has dug up the sidewalk, it's been their responsibility to restore it, which has happened a number of times for
Water.
right of way, water lines or something. But the landowner's been responsible to restore it in that case. I could see potential, you know, damage to the sidewalks from the snowplows or something like that that would require some maintenance over time. But mainly that is untapped.
So your meeting tomorrow is regarding this application?
It's regarding this application, yeah, to prepare good application, but also it's a closing meeting for the scoping study.
But the deadline is the 7th.
The
And
deadline
our
is the
next
7th,
meeting is
yeah.
the 10th.
So what do folks want to do?
If we can thread the needle on a letter that we can't commit more than the 70 grand. I'd be in favor of committing that much and seeing if. the rest
Yeah,
of us-
I'm seeing two different things in the town report. I'm seeing in our capital budget, path and sidewalk reserve with a balance of 64,000, which is, we've been earning interest on everything. And then I see a transportation path reserve under the reserve funds of 59,600, but that was the year prior because it has a deposit in June of '23 of 10,000. So we would want to make sure we know the numbers that we're talking about. Steve just, that reserve fund was one of the funds that he recently invested in CDs. So that's why the 73 or something stands out. Because I remember asking him if we're doing that little section of sidewalk between Lawson's and Route 100, which is only gonna be a couple $1,000s, that if we take the money, can we be able to repay it out of that reserve? And he said, yes, it may.
And you were thinking the 70 or the 50 for that? Because I was looking at the 50 for that, actually, so that's.
Well, this is, had we had more lead time, we could have answered these questions, but.
What was the name of the other reserve that you mentioned?
It does seem a little
Well,
redundant.
if you look on, there's the
Probably would set up
Transportation
like a
Path Reserve, which just might be the same name for the, Path and Sidewalk Reserve.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, in my SIP budget, those two are combined, transportation path / sidewalk reserve.
Yeah.
And there was a $60,000 starting balance at the beginning of fiscal year '25. This says 10 grand of approved transfers in 2025, 6 grand of projected use in 2025, which sounds like that
It's probably that.
small project, and a fiscal year 2026 starting balance of 64 and change. So that, but I'm not seeing a second budget or reserve.
Do we have a definition of each one of those reserve funds?
No,
I don't think so.
I did not go to the date that it was created. I did know, I asked Steve about use of it, and he gave me a spreadsheet, and it was a lot of the sidewalk construction. Wondering where Steve's letter from last week, he mentioned what reserve funds he was taking.
I asked him a bunch of questions today in preparation of this, but this was not one of them. I had meetings, so I only had a few minutes with Steve.
So, I mean, we could write a letter of support saying we're willing to work on raising the match, and if we do have as much as we believe, it wouldn't be that big of a lift and eat into too many of our other priorities over 4 years' time.
And again, it's the ask of the community, which is, to Misha's point, it's saying, what do you value in the community? But again, it would depend how they respond to that question, in terms of a hard match or a threading the needle match.
Number 7, Munfield to LaRue Bridge, 0.9 miles, 1.5 million. Would you be applying for a grant for that also, and would there be a match on that also?
Not ready to answer this yet, Fred. We are working closely with Hadley Gaylord because a lot of that path goes over his property. So depending on what we decide there, so I'm not ready to answer yet.
So it's a possibility, though, that you'll be coming back again asking for some more money?
It's a possibility.
Strong possibility.
The grant that allows us to pay for that kind of a section is a bike ped grant. Bike ped grant is the one with the earlier, sorry, it's late in the day for everybody. It's the, I believe, say August application deadline. We committed to use that grant for section 1 from Warren Village to Riverside Park. That's what we applied for last year, and we didn't get it, so we're committed to reapplying again. So that bucket of money wouldn't be available to us anyway for at least 2 years. To your broader question, in order for us to connect Warren and Waitsfield, will we need eventually more than this ask? Absolutely. It's just, we broke it into sections in order to move forward, because if we look at it in its whole complexity, we'll never get off the ground. We have to do one section at a time. So this particular grant perfectly fits for this, the cost of this, and so that's why that's the strategy.
Well, and to Brian's point, I think if one had to sort of triage sections that would affect us, if we only were able to do one, it sounds like even though this is very short distance, it has very large impact on ability to connect
Yep.
things within the town.
Yeah, I mean, if we can write a letter, threading that needle, but not committing beyond what we're able to.
What we already have, I think.
Yeah. Well,
We already have what?
Oh, so what we already have in reserve.
So you could commit, what do you think, 60,000, is that, since we wanna put some into the new sidewalk if it ever gets permitted, V-Trans, V-Trans. And I suppose I could write a letter and then probably send it out to, if you want it to be done, send it out to select board for your review and suggested edits so that Misha could have it by the 7th if you want that done. And then we could include that in the next meeting packet so that it is transparent for the public. But I mean, that's something we could do. To see if we can create a letter that is honest and what we can commit. And that's also based on what Misha's meetings says tomorrow.
Yeah, would get my vote that we would be able to commit essentially half the funds now, 60 grand out of the 120. We can't commit the remaining funds until we give the voters an opportunity to weigh in. But there's a 3 or 4 year window to do that.
and again, contingent on the award of the grant, right? Just to be clear. Not just committing this to the bridge.
You can get a roped bridge for 60 grand.
I'm looking for Steve's letter. It's not on my, I don't have the select board email on my,
When did he send it?
it's right before the last meeting,
Okay.
which was the 6th, so I'm not going back far.
The CDs one?
Yeah,
Yeah, I have it.
does he say what the balances are?
Okay.
While you're looking that up, just to reframe it, if we could get a bridge over that for, $120,000 of town money, that's a
72,000.
pretty great deal. Given the transportation, all the different things that are happening in that area.
Is that your question, Brian? 72,000.
Yeah, thank
But
you.
yeah, the timing is hard.
So he, according to Steve, on his October 1st memo to the board about investing in CDs, he did say $72,000 in transportation reserve.
And transportation.
Transportation path, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right, if you want to see it, there's, or I can put it up on the screen.
I would be more inclined to go to the voters and ask for them to reallocate that money to bridges and culverts. Take care of our needs, not our wants.
Well, I do think, I hope that we are able to consolidate some of our reserve funds and take away some of the unnecessary ones. And maybe there might be some opportunity to put it in bridging and culverts, but.
And there's 320, sorry, there's 300, just because I'm reading Steve's notes, there's 321,000 in the bridge culvert repair fund right now.
Which is low.
It's, yeah, no, it's,
That doesn't begin.
Josh and I have spent a lot of time actually talking about, if you read the beginning of my town administrator report, culvert and bridges are a big part of our planning ahead, I think, when we come into the budget cycle,
Yeah.
because they have to be.
Yeah, and then we have the town garage.
We will talk
That will
about
be-
that.
Yeah.
If, Fred, if I may say, I think it perhaps reframing needs and wants. If you observe people walking on the side of Route 100, walking from town across Millbrook Bridge over to LaRose swimming hole, that's safety, that's human beings. We traditionally prioritize cars over people, and I'm asking my work of Mid-River Path to ask us to rethink that. And it's a little bit of a paradigm shift, but pedestrians and bicyclists are equally important to the moving vehicles, not less important.
But we have a bridge that needs to be replaced. We have several culverts that are undersized that's gonna cost huge dollars. If we don't replace the bridges and culverts that are in peril, we're gonna have citizens in here cut off, very upset, cut off from their own homes. We also got a garage that we desperately need, which is gonna take a lot of funding, which we'll talk later about. Yes, it is priorities. What is the greatest priority? I mean, I think a path would be wonderful. I have no problems with a path. I agree with everything you say about, people being able to get from one end of the town to the other without driving a car. That's wonderful. Walking, I'm all for that. I just don't want in-town funds to support it. Unless approved by the voters.
Well, the voters have approved the creation and funding of a transportation path reserve fund. So there is precedent where they've expressed that as being one of many priorities.
Yeah, and, we've seen robust participation in the path planning process and, a lot of support from a lot of people, so that doesn't give me a lot of pause right there. But again, it's really, will that letter be sufficient? I'd be comfortable trying to do that and hope that, if it gets us $600,000 of state funding, I think that's worth it, personally.
Yeah, and
Of course, it's contingent on the award, so it's not saying this is how we're going to use the money unless we get that 600,000.
Is there a comparable grant for culverts or something like that?
V-Trans told us there was no
money.
Well,
Yeah.
V-Trans
Eastbourne
just
Road-
got a cut of $7 million to their
Yikes.
budget.
I will share, just, and I've mentioned it, we're
Yeah,
moving
just that.
forward, and we'll talk about it later with the RFP for the old Center Face and the Center Face Road. I don't want to skip ahead, but I met with our town engineer this morning, we visited the sites, and my understanding was, and he reiterated that it's true, that these should be funded to replace those two culverts, and those culverts would then be ours. That we have in the ground at Old Center Face and Center Face, which are gonna be a huge benefit for when the new ones go in, hopefully, funded by FEMA.
Funded by FEMA.
For those, and those are big culverts, and I think Josh already knows where those will go.
Oh, you're saying we can reuse the
We can
Yeah,
temporary?
repurpose the temporary
Yeah,
ones.
and those are already paid for, and,
Yeah.
so that is, I think Josh and Charlie are quite
Yeah, I think we
happy
spent
with
about
it.
$60,000 just to purchase the culverts, and then
That-
the crew put them in.
That's great, yep.
Well, I appreciate what you're saying, Fred. If we didn't have the reserve fund and our inability to make a firm commitment, I think we ought to go ahead with trying to thread the needle and do a letter of support with a commitment to work with the PAT Association to find funding to augment the reserve fund that we have.
I would probably say the 60,000, so that's half, and then, because I wanna make sure we reserve enough for the project we mentioned before, and maybe some other, and half sounds good.
And we're gonna have to start fixing some cracked up sidewalks in the next few years. It's not urgent, but some sections aren't in very good shape.
I agree.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's sort of where I landed as well. Is that, yeah, if there wasn't a reserve fund that already existed, I would be much more hesitant, but. And I think that there is a very real possibility that if you came back for one of the other phases, that we wouldn't, well, I don't know that I would be able to say like, yes, definitely, but I do feel like this is a really pretty critical piece of the you know, ability to connect, and I've done enough trying to walk and fearing for my life, that, yeah. I do think it's a priority, even if it's not a priority that's shared by everyone, yeah.
It does get a lot of traffic. That section of Route 100 gets a lot of foot traffic from Eagles. A surprising amount, actually. So anybody want to take a shot at a motion?
So, as the motion, just to authorize York to draft a letter.
A letter of support for the application, and perhaps commitment on the town to designate 60,000 of our transportation path reserve fund and find other, you know, work to find other additional, the other half before project construction. When is project construction?
That's the 4-year, with my limited experience of Sugarbush Access Path, we're on year 3, and we're year 2 construction. That's how long it takes. It's a 4-year period, and the town is not asked to contribute until the very end, until they start running out of the state money. That's how it went also with the scoping study. They didn't bill the towns until the end.
I think we're almost on the right track with that motion, but I don't know how to finish, exactly finish that last part.
What's the last part?
I was gonna say,
The commitment to work to secure the other half.
Well, maybe the last part is contingent upon the grant award. You know, we would commit the 60 grand towards the, whatever it's called, the Millbrook.
Crossing to Dugway Road.
Crossing Dugway Road. Segment of the path contingent upon receipt of the, whatever the grant, the recreational trails.
Transportation Alternatives Grant.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me, and York write a letter, which I would then share with the select board for review, committing $60,000 of that fund from the reserve, leaving 12,000 or so for other projects, committed to working with the town and the community to continue funding that reserve so that the match would be available during a time of construction, but with the caveat that the town would have to say.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, I think we want to indicate we're supportive of the project, so we keep our hat in the ring for the grant, but can't commit the full funds because they're not approved by the voters yet. So,
And I will run it tomorrow at my meeting, and the recourse that we have, if they say no, they need to be firmly committed funds, I will come back to you guys. Or I can always take a chance and say the rest will be the Path Association will take responsibility for raising the remainder. That allows us to write for a grant and see what, if we get it. Then we can talk again.
okay.
So do you need a second of?
Is that
I was
clear
gonna
enough motion for Carol?
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
She's pretty good, but that was pushing it.
No, I think we said it like 4 times.
I think so.
Second.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Okay, maybe you just want a fifth time.
Probably.
I would make a motion to approve the use of up to $60,000, or just $60,000 from the, what is it?
Transportation
The
path.
Transportation and Sidewalk, Transportation Path Sidewalk Reserve Fund for matching funds for the Transportation Alternative Grant for the Mad River Path Bridge over the Mill Brook.
Contingent on no.
Contingent upon receipt of the Trails Grant. And what else? And ask York to write a letter to that effect, commitment letter supporting the project that Misha can use in his presentation.
Second.
In his presentation tomorrow, or in his grant application?
In the
In his
grant
grant
application.
Yeah. He's just gonna clarify
Yeah.
tomorrow. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
you'll circulate.
You guys are,
Yeah, I'll
have
probably
an
do it
amazing
soon because
hard,
I'm a
hard
little
work to do.
confused.
I appreciate it.
I'll write it
Have a
soon.
good night. Good night. Sorry for taking up so much of your time.
Thanks, Michelle. Good night.
I'm curious, what, are you guys here for an agenda item?
We're town garage.
Okay.
So,
Sorry.
in Middlesex, we're looking at building a town garage too, so I just
Oh.
wanted to see
Okay.
the process. that you're going through.
Sorry that you
That's
got-
really all it is.
Sorry that you had to see all that.
You know what, I go to the select board meeting twice a month,
Yes,
so
we do.
I'm good with it.
Twice a month,
Oh, yeah.
dedicated.
Well, we do have 10 proposals for a new town garage.
Yeah.
Um, And I should have, we should have structured the agenda differently. I would like to talk about the process now and just kind of the general comments or questions on the proposals, but then have a deliberation in executive session about the proposals and make a decision in private, and then release that decision, because I think we may want to, I just think it would be better, it's a contract negotiation, so you don't want to reveal too much in public. So one thing that stood out for me, and this is not, I think we gave York the direction that let's get this going, with the understanding that we may go to town meeting with it. I don't think we should plan on going to town meeting with it. I don't think we're gonna be ready. We have a lot going on. We've got a budget process that's gonna be new to York, and it's a busy time of year. So I don't think we should feel, if we have additional questions, we wanna follow up with some of the folks, we should feel free to do that. And, change the timeline, hopefully they'll work with us on that. Because all of them said they'd get things done by the end of January. And I don't think we want it done by the end of January. That's not gonna give us the time that we would need. And with all the other things we have going on, capital budgeting, we're not gonna be ready. Fortunately, next year is an election year, so we could, if things fell into places, go to a November vote.
Right.
And actually, when I designed the RFP and like structured it, I had structured it from really long. It may be part of the reason we had 10 proposals. We intentionally gave a lot of time thinking that we would not plan on this for town meeting. I mean, that was never the intention really, to have it
Or at
ready
least
to
for
run
this.
for town
It just
meeting.
seems like that was the assumption that they made.
I think
Yeah.
it might be, and the couple people I talked to, I was clear, I was like, that's not the plan.
Yeah.
If it ends up being like that, that may be fine, but, yeah, I was open with the people that talked to me that we were intentionally taking our time and not rushing.
Yeah, most of their responses were like January or February, they'd get it done, but that's not, I think we'd need it sooner to incorporate into
Yeah.
the budget and all
Yeah.
that. So
So you
That
finalize
would
the
really-
budget by the end of
I
January
mean, I think
usually?
they were going off of this
Mid-
timeline,
mid-January.
selection and award October 28th,
Yeah.
and draft conceptual design and cost estimate approximately 6 to 8 weeks after award.
Yeah.
So,
And
they all were, it was kind of apples to apples, that was one thing, that they were all pretty similar in
Yeah.
11, 12 weeks for work,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, go ahead. So, so I do want to have a more detailed, just kind of and I don't know, did anybody have any general thoughts? Did you get a chance to review them?
It's difficult to review.
Yeah,
They were
I
difficult
was
to
gonna say
review,
the,
yeah. It didn't help that they were all printed as a package, so I wasn't quite sure when one ended and when the other one started.
And that's just the way I did it, so.
No, it's just not,
No,
it's
no,
just,
no.
it's not, and also I will say one of them, was legal size paper?
Oh, gosh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was strange. No.
yeah, I appreciate the trying to sort of consider them across the same variables, since they weren't apples to apples comparisons, sort of having a rubric, so thank you for this. I realize that probably took some real time. My visuospatial learning brain would love to see it in like a table.
Well, and you saw the one in the back?
I did, thank you. It's-
And again, I think this is appropriate right now. I created a rubric based on what our conversations were, what my conversations with Josh and Charlie were. But it's a rubric that I created.
Yes,
And so
understood.
whether it's what you all value as your priorities and the points you would allocate, and that's, I think, part of the reason, I think for executive session, it would be appropriate to go over them.
yeah, digging into that rubric a little bit would be
helpful. Yeah.
And who participated in the scoring? Was that you and Charlie and
It was
Josh?
just me.
Just you?
Based on, yeah, and Charlie and Josh had a recommendation, but they didn't have time to really talk about
So why? Yeah.
what I was hoping. They were just busy today.
And we might want to know that.
Yeah.
I think I have an idea, but yes,
So they shared that recommendation or not?
they did.
And we'll
But-
save that for executive session.
But they didn't,
But they were originally going to give like a first, second, third, and reasons, and we were talking about it, and Charlie had hoped to give it to me by Thursday, and I just got it this morning, and so, that's, it's just what it is, I mean, they're busy.
but it's fortunate that several of the firms have built town garages and, designed and
Yeah.
overseen the construction of comparable projects.
I'm also not sure how much she was joking, but Devin, Corey and Klein did say that if we wanted to look at their plans, we could. At the chair of the Warren,
I was relieved to see that we're asking for like an 8,000 square foot town garage and Warren's building close to 15,000 square feet.
yeah.
Hopefully we'll save some money with the smaller size.
Top that in what town?
I don't think that's gonna happen. I only wish.
You said Middlesex, right?
Middlesex.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Where is your
Yeah.
town garage?
It's over by Romney.
That's okay, that's right. And is it just
I printed the wrong one.
old and,
It was built in '74, and it's way past its useful
That's
life.
capital V vintage,
Oh,
yeah.
it's
It
Our
hasn't
trucks,
received,
Yeah.
our trucks don't fit in there with the plows on, it's.
Got it.
it hasn't received a historical designation.
I was gonna say, I think
It should.
it qualifies,
It
I'm
should.
pretty sure it does.
I think it was a 20-year building when they built it.
Well, you get your money's worth.
Yeah, they've, more so, yeah. Yeah, it's time. It's time,
Facein's also
yeah.
talking about it. I don't know if they put out an RFP
I
yet.
don't think so.
I did talk to Chuck Martell about, I think it might be a stretch to share a town garage, and it would require a lot of coordination. But I did ask him, maybe there's some economy of scale if we had, coordinated the procurement process, so we had one firm, and maybe there's some savings there, I don't know if that's.
As an overarching theme, I think, I'm curious what things as a sort of valley it would be possible to collaborate on. I realize that more parts means more moving people, means more like institutional inertia, but I think there is some cost savings potentially to be had. I don't know.
I'll just say, I talked to Josh about
Schwartz
that.
or
Rogers.
Rogers, okay.
He does not share that.
Well, I think there are a lot of things that Josh and
I'll just leave that there.
I helped him get his metadata on his iPhone, and I think that's kind of the only thing that we agreed on doing. No.
Why executive session, Sandy?
Yeah.
I do
So
have
how do you want
a
to?
question. Funding for your garage, do you currently have capital money for that, or are you looking to bond or
We
raise?
created a reserve fund for the first time this past town meeting, put $100,000 into it.
How much?
$100,000
Oh,
was the
okay.
first time.
Yep.
And we anticipate we'll have to bond for it.
Yes, of course. Yep. Yep.
And what we were actually able to use, we had an unassigned fund balance, basically a surplus that had built over a couple of years, so we were able to use that to establish the reserve fund.
It's nice you have it after the flooding.
Yeah, the flooding was easier on us this time than
Yeah,
it was on some of the neighboring towns.
We were
Yeah.
lucky, but I think it's not if, it's when
Yeah.
we get
That's
hit,
true.
yeah.
We had 2 bad years.
2 years
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. So how do you want to kind of move on and have a discussion and with the understanding that we might want to look for more information and not reach a decision tonight?
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's what I.
Yeah, that's similar.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys for sticking it out
Yeah.
through all of that.
Hey, our select board packet is on our webpage, and
Yeah,
the proposals are on
We
it.
bred it.
Oh,
So-
yeah,
Yeah.
you did your homework.
You got
Oh, yeah, we did our homework.
They're public documents.
You got some good proposals. They are definitely
Yeah.
ranged. Not as much.
They are.
And this phase isn't that expensive, it's the next
No,
phase.
No,
yes.
I work for a construction company I know only too well.
Ah,
Yes, very much so. We built a few garages, our town garages.
Which firm?
PC Construction, Pizzicelli Construction.
Oh, yeah.
hence the jacket.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. I know, but it was a free
thank you
jacket.
very much.
Yeah.
Thank
Best
you.
of luck
You want-
with your
Thank
project.
you.
So let's move on to traffic ordinance, and we don't want to go too far until David's back.
Yes.
Why don't you, you'll kind of walk through this draft and where we are.
Okay, at the meeting.
Hold on a second. Kurt, are you waiting until the consent agenda? Because it's on the consent agenda, and unless it gets taken off the consent agenda, it's just done, we don't talk about it.
I just wanted to be sure that if there were any questions that they could get answered, because I have to submit it this week, so.
No, so.
And I actually, sorry, go ahead.
Go, no, you-
I was gonna say, I meant to ask to take the minutes off the consent agenda, and I forgot. I'm sorry.
Is anybody gonna ask to take the Phase 2 Lake Champlain River Basin Program application off the consent agenda?
Nope.
I would just ask that you update the email so that it's the current email address for the
That's
administrator.
been done.
Already done?
That's been done.
Super.
So I'm sorry that we didn't, so it's we just do the whole thing at once.
Okay.
And there's gonna be a request to take the minutes off.
Okay, all right, thank you, so I can.
Yeah, that's why I wanted, I'm not trying to get rid of you, I'm just,
Yeah, you're welcome
No,
to
that's
stick.
why, no, that's why I came.
I- you know, I read it.
I wanted to hear the planning discussion too, so. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thanks, Kurt.
Thanks, Kurt.
So the traffic ordinance, after our meeting, 2 meetings ago, there were some inconsistencies. So I worked with the sheriff's department again on answering some of the questions. In terms of the speed limit ones, there was no real way to answer it except literally going out on a field trip and
Yep.
looking at what the actual speeds were, because our own traffic ordinance disagreed with the speeds. So those were
There's the posted
fixed.
ones.
Chacha caught that. So, the blue, is on page 2, of the ordinance, will be what goes away. The yellow is what's added. I added the speed limit 50, which I think is at the bottom of the yellow highlighted area, based on what the sheriff's department
What
shared
page
with
are
me.
you on, sorry?
The,
Of the
yeah,
packet.
say that one more time?
What page are you on of the traffic ordinance?
I
Page
don't-
two.
It's
Two
page
is-
2 of the.
Okay,
of
yep,
the
I'm there, I
ordinance.
just wanted to catch
So
up.
the yellow is what we had before, the speed limit 40, 30, 40. And then the second that paragraph, these speed limits are adopted to enhance. I added the all other segments of Route from 100 above are subject to the default 50-mile-per-hour speed limit consistent with the state established standards. And that was basically recommended wording from the sheriff's department. That was borrowed from other ordinances, and
Yep.
that's
Yep.
what the state basically
That makes
shares
sense.
it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, even though it's a state road, if we don't have the traffic ordinance with the speed limits in it, we don't get any of the
Correct.
traffic fines.
That's right. So this came to light when the sheriff's department said, you know, it's too bad your ordinance doesn't match the speed limit signs, because when we give tickets, you don't get any money. So this is to remedy that.
Thank you
And-
for taking that
Yes.
field trip.
And it took a ludicrous amount of work to really
Yeah.
do this. This is a remarkably difficult ordinance for some reason. Pretty funny, actually.
Okay, I got confused. I thought I knew, but I guess I don't. The blue or blue-green is what you're striking,
Yep, the
and the
Vermont
yellow is what
100.
we're adding,
Correct.
and the magenta, purple, what's that?
New or?
That is,
Now the road
because now
goes-
it's been a couple weeks. I think that is the one that, why did I do pink? That was a really good question. Am I striking that?
I don't think so.
You sure hope not.
I guess those are the new, I don't remember why I did like a red color. You see now it's been,
That's why keys are your friend.
what's that?
So that's why keys are your friend, color keys.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know
Doesn't
why
help right
that's
now.
in red, but that's, I mean, that's right.
So we should interpret that as not being highlighted then.
I'd have to look back, because I don't want to quote the wrong thing. But no, that would stay. That's not going to go anywhere.
Okay, okay.
I did get rid of some spots on section 3 that overlapped with,
Mhm.
oh, that's what this was, I'm sorry. The 4 in red were also in the section 3 as 35, which was wrong. Because
Yes.
they're not 35, they're 25, 30, 25,
Yeah, I remember when we
30.
lowered Olson, or
So-
Common Road.
Yeah, so I struck those, and they're gone from section 3.
So the magenta is.
So the magenta is just to say that those are correct. And that's what Chacha had caught at the last meeting. And then on to the crosswalks, we talked about.
In
yeah,
the
go ahead.
future, it might be better to, not, instead of highlight, but also just use track changes, so you have strikeout and
I
underline.
could do that, yeah, that's a good
That would be
idea.
great.
The crosswalk we talked about last time. So what we did, again, was help with the sheriff's department. I don't remember which town used this, but we just copied them. A crosswalk is defined as the portion of the roadway ordinarily included within the prolongation of curb and property lines at street intersections, or that portion of a roadway clearly indicated for pedestrian crossing by lines marked on the surface. And then below, additional crosswalks may exist or be established along Route 100 and other town roads. All marked and unmarked crosswalks and intersections shall be subject to the provisions outlined below. And then in the next page, section 1, section 2, section 3. And again, that was recommended by the sheriff's department to basically say if it looks like a crosswalk, it looks like a crosswalk, it's a crosswalk. And apparently that's legally binding, I guess, since
I
the
was gonna
sheriff's
say,
department
because
says
the-
so.
Questioning that, unmarked.
I know, I see.
You're supposed to know.
Yeah, unmarked, and I don't know what unmarked, I assume unmarked means.
Well, I do know that a lot of people, for instance, treat right in front of the Great Eddy Bridge. There is like a little curb bit that comes out to bring it, the sidewalk to grade. And the number of times I've almost hit a child or somebody with a camera is more than I care to count. Yeah, so that would, under this, that would count as a crosswalk.
That may be what they
Okay.
meant, and I probably should have clarified that, but, and he showed me the wording, like, and referenced it in their ordinances. Maybe that's it if a person's standing there.
And you
do have
hit
any
them,
questions?
then it was a crosswalk and you messed up.
Do you have any questions about that crosswalk section? It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And then the bridge weight and height limits, took a good bit of time to pull together, based on our conversations over the course of several meetings. That's what this, the culmination of that is what built this. I'm happy to go over it or not. I mean, it's relatively lengthy.
I'm surprised that the village bridge is 3 tons and Pine Brook is 5.
My guess is
Yeah.
because it's so short.
It is short.
Doesn't it have I-beams? Doesn't Pine Brook Bridge have an I-beam, 2 I-beams underneath it?
It may.
It might,
So if the main beams deflect so much, they touch the I-beam and pick up their weight, I believe.
Yeah. As I conveyed to Brian, this, you know, I know we kind of talked through this, but being so vague about when you will get in trouble.
You mean the enforcement discretion may be applied?
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
you know, there's no actual definition for when is a vehicle causing damage due to excessive height or weight. It's just very vague, and there are a lot of, you know, it's a really important artery, there's a lot of trucks, you know, big trucks that a lot of people drive around here, that are over 3 tons, and I just, the questions I had were, where does the weight limit come from? Is it from the state? Was there an engineering study that kind of?
That is definitely the V-Trans inspection. Yes, that's the state.
Do we know a year that was from?
They just redid that bridge report a year, 2 years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
I looked at
And
it a
it's
few months
required every
ago.
5, right?
Yeah.
So it's at least,
And I can send that
worst
to you.
case scenario,
So
it's
it's
5
Find
years.
it, really,
So
it's on their website.
So
very
is
easy to
V-Trans
find.
saying 3 tons,
Yes.
actual weight is what's recommended?
That's
Okay.
correct, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, Fred's truck is 300 pounds over.
Yeah.
As in a
Why don't you tell
three-quarter.
everybody just a few more?
As in a
Just a few more times.
A 3/4 ton truck is the limit. However,
The sheriff's not watching.
that's,
I know,
the
that's
sheriff
what I
knows, it's remarkable what the sheriff knows. He like
Oh,
can see a
really?
truck from a mile away and be like, yep, nope. My conversation with the sheriff's department, the 2 that work in town, their issue, and that's, but again, that goes to your point, I mean, enforcement discretion may be applied. They're looking at, and their concern are the big landscaping, the trucks with the big trailers and things going over it.
We probably should encourage 1-ton trucks to go around.
Yeah,
When one says it is a 1-ton truck.
Yeah, this is very confusing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, 1-ton truck does not refer to the weight of the truck. It
Yeah.
refers to the
Correct.
towing capacity of the truck, correct?
No.
No, then what does it refer to?
No.
The weight of the truck.
So,
What the 3/4 ton is that's, maybe I misunderstood your question.
okay.
3/4 ton is what it is capable of carrying.
Yeah, it's the carrying capacity in the
Carrying.
bed.
Okay, so
Yes.
carrying
But
capacity.
since, like, you have a 3/4 ton, I have a 1 ton, and the difference is the leaf spring in the back, so the weight difference, the weight of the actual truck unloaded is like
Yeah.
100-pound different or something.
You can look up the National Highway Transportation Safety.
Well, look at your
Board's
registration.
curb weights for
Yeah.
various vehicles, which are unloaded with passenger and any other accessories, but with gas. And, you know, there's a lot of heavier trucks that are up into the
Yeah, put,
3s, 4s, 5s, 6, you know. And so that's why I'm saying, what are we really concerned with? Are we concerned with 5 tons?
I think,
Are we concerned?
I think our concern is the life expectancy of the bridge.
Exactly. But people, I think people have a right to more clarity if they're driving on the bridge, whether they're gonna potentially get tickets, or whether they're just causing damage to the bridge, and that's bad.
I mean, yeah, and again, when the sheriff's department, this is the other thing they brought up to me, was their frustration, and I don't wanna like misquote them, but over the years, their frustration was seeing trucks go over that were so blatantly over, and knowing that that causes wear and tear on the bridge. And that's the way I read what they said. And the reason that this has been, I've been trying to make sure this is front and center, partially because we've talked about it here, but because there are issues with the bridge right now that we're really trying to remedy, and the cost is unknown still, because I haven't been able to figure out the cost to fix it, but the board's popping up and everything, and from what I've talked to Miles about, is that excessive weight is definitely excessive tear on the bridge.
What does
Wear.
excessive weight mean?
Over what the state says is appropriate.
Okay, so that is happening a lot.
A lot.
And it's the main artery of our town, so that's
That's
why
right.
I'm saying, is there anything we can do about that, is my kind of bigger question. Because replacing that bridge would be, well, it's a very valuable historical landmark, it's our main road from East.
I see
East
what you
Foreign.
mean.
So, putting aside
I see.
the tickets, like, we are not, or I doubt that we are going to stop trucks that are in several tons over this 3-ton weight limit from going across the bridge, unless there's very, very robust ticketing. So, I'm stepping away from the ticketing and saying, how at risk is how at risk is this bridge right now from?
and is that, can we learn anything towards that question from the state recommended weight limit? Is it a recommendation, or is it a, like,
Requirement.
Yes.
thou shalt not cross the bridge if you're over?
You shall not pass.
There's a
3
legal
tons.
sign right up in front of it.
I understand.
Right, but I'm just asking, is that the state's recommendation, or is that the state's, like, do they have any legal jurisdiction or bounds to, that would make that enforceable, to his
I don't wanna
question,
get
like, how do
too
we
caught
get
up,
something
but
that's enforceable?
There have been many trucks, 3, 4, 5 tons crossing that bridge for many years. You know, putting this ordinance in would technically criminalize those crossings, right? And I just, one, I'm not sure we want to do that, and 2, how do we protect our bridge if that's going to continue happening? Or do we really want to stop? Where's the line of what vehicles we actually want to stop going over the bridge? So.
Well, and 1A, if we're gonna do that, how are we gonna communicate that to people so that they have a little bit of time to change their behavior?
This is the same discussion that we've had with the Meadow Road Bridge.
That's right.
Well, and people got waivers for that,
Some,
right?
not many.
Some people got waivers,
Yes.
okay,
If you spend a few weeks in the office, you'll see that some people that do not get waivers don't love it.
yeah.
What's the weight
sorry?
limit on Meadow Road Bridge?
Meadow Road Bridge, what's the weight limit on Meadow Road Bridge now? It's way more than,
Yeah,
but,
so
but all big agriculture trucks are way overweight.
Empty.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the Great Eddy Bridge is like, many retail vehicles are over 3 tons, not just agricultural vehicles or like that. So
Yeah, I think George's point is that that's the agriculture vehicles are way more than 3 tons or 8 tons or whatever.
I understand.
Yeah. I mean, I get periodic pictures from Fred of big trucks going over. down the middle road.
To put it bluntly, I think we can't pass this with this language after further thought. I mean, it's just constitutionally like vague, too vague.
It is, I think it's very vague.
So,
And it's.
If someone got a ticket, it would be a very, in my opinion, could be an easy challenge.
Sure.
Because there's not actually effective
Yeah,
notice.
so are we better off striking that language? But I think there's still a level of discretion from a ticketing officer, right? Just like any other road, speeding or anything else. If you're going 52 and a 50, technically, they're allowed to ticket you, but they rarely do, because you're right on the edge.
Sure.
Can we do the same thing here, like make it black and white in the ordinance? But there is some discretion on a ticketing officer. Because the sign right now is posted 3 tons, and that's the limit, and they can ticket you, they could ticket me every time I drive my stupid big truck over that bridge,
Right.
because it weighs more than that.
Right.
But I'm guessing they're not necessarily looking at an unloaded truck that's a couple of 100 pounds over. They're looking at a bigger truck with the trailer and loaded, and that's,
With a load of sand in it.
5 or 6 tons, not a little over 3. So it doesn't seem like, they already have that discretion. Doesn't seem like making the ordinance big helps us. It just,
Yeah.
if I was ticketed, I would challenge it
Yeah.
based on the language that's in there.
Yeah, that's
So can we just make the language black and white? That says we have the right to, to ticket you?
I guess so. I wonder if there's anything more we can do to, if we really believe that vehicles over 3 tons are hurting the bridge, is there anything we can do, or else we're looking at?
You mean like the Pine Brook Bridge, where maybe there's I-beams underneath
Yes,
it that are
that's-
giving it extra assistance, so it can
I know
carry
this is
more
Well, I
weight.
think that's the thing, is that bridge needs to hold more vehicle.
That's where I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different issue, right? I mean, I agree with you, but.
Yeah, yes, but it's prompted by, making illegal a lot of the vehicles that go over it right now.
But it's already, nothing's changed. It's illegal today, because it's posted 3
So this
tons.
is just making us collect money from it, correct?
I
That's
think
why
we
we're-
already would be, if it's posted and an officer tickets someone for violating that, we collect money from it, because
I'm a
it's
little
correctly
confused.
labeled.
I'm not 100% sure about that, because the sheriff said that it would be helpful to have the ordinance, so I don't know.
So was the ordinance prior to silent on it, didn't say anything about the weight limits, or?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Ah.
That's where this is coming from.
This is putting
We're putting in a new town ordinance about
This is
bridge.
putting in writing what
Is already
what is
posted.
heavily recommended for the weight limit.
Correct.
Which is to prolong the life of the bridge and the safety of people riding over, et cetera.
Guess I'd still go with my original comment, is, put it in the ordinance, and someone like Fred, I can't believe Fred, crossing the bridge would be at risk.
If I need to cross the bridge, I'll take the car.
So it's,
And to me, separate discussion, and one that's very much worth having, of like, what can we do in a further rehab of that bridge to increase its load carrying capacity?
Well, Miles was looking at it to give us an estimate, and it seems like part of the problem isn't just it's exacerbated by the overweight vehicles, but that the beams are soft.
That's
They're
right.
getting soft.
That's right.
And maybe that's the reason that it's got a low
I
weight,
don't
and maybe.
I don't
needs
think
some-
so, because the inspection I don't think says that. And that's why Miles is supposed to give us a quote for doing a true inspection of it, or a deeper inspection of
I
the
think
bridge.
that is something we ought to
And
pursue.
I've
Yeah.
reached out to Miles a couple times, and I got back, and I've not heard back, but that's kind of the way he gets really busy, and,
He's probably trying to finish up a bunch of stuff before.
that's probably right.
Mhm.
So, but that is the plan. And again, Miles visited twice and showed me you know, what he had looked at, and the inspection from, I think it was less than 2 years ago. And Dave, I can send it to you, but it's pretty easy to, if you type into Google, like, V-Trans, bridge and culverts, it's a map, and you can zoom in, and then just click on the bridge, and it opens the inspection.
Yeah, you can just send that to me.
Yeah. But I'm happy to do whatever you all like. I do think looking at what it would cost to up the weight limit of the bridge would be amazing. I will say Miles did a bridge, a covered bridge, somewhere really close, maybe the Warren one, and the cost was extreme. To bring it up to just, like, it was more degraded than ours.
Okay.
And I don't remember what he said it cost, but it was a lot of money. Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, jack the whole thing up and redo the foundations.
Yeah, he did,
and,
yeah.
Put an I-beam to cross that span.
I do think
That's
that,
not
I think
even
that's a good idea
possible.
though, Dave, just to explore it.
Well, it's
I will say that, I won't say a name, but someone that we all know, he says if he's carrying a trailer behind his truck, he never goes over the Meadow Road Bridge. And he's like, I haven't.
The Meadow Road Bridge or the
Not,
Great
not,
Eddy
sorry,
Bridge?
not Meadow Road, the Great Eddy. And he said he's been doing that for years. He's just like, well, I shouldn't go over it when I'm carrying a lot of weight. Like, what's the big deal? That was his impression. That's just one person.
Yeah, all I'm saying is this ordinance process gave me, and then looking up some normal consumer vehicles gave me concern that a major artery in town is insufficient for the traffic that actually goes over it.
And I think who said, it wasn't that many decades ago that the town talked about getting rid of the bridge and putting
Oh, yeah.
another bridge in.
That
Oh, yeah.
was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago?
Oh, yeah, but it was quite the
It
discussion.
was the 70s, right?
Yeah, you want to take it out, basically burn it, and put in a traffic light on Route 100. That was the desire.
I believe
and the
you,
vote-
I know, and that's.
The
yeah.
vote was very close, if I remember. Oh, it divided families.
Right.
I bet the vote wouldn't be nearly as close today.
Yeah,
So-
I don't believe it, yeah.
So to bring it back, in terms of what we're including in the ordinance, are we including what is already a posted reality so that people can get ticketed? I mean, is that sort of the only functional thing that adding it to the ordinance does?
Well, that's my question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, it's putting into policy what the inspection report says it should be. I mean, and again, I shared this in the past, the sheriff's department said the select board in the past was not willing to put that into ordinance. And then when we talked about it, I think many ways stemming from Fred's conversations about, you know, protecting all of our public buildings, to look into, you know, adding that to the ordinance. I appreciate where you're coming from, Dave.
Yeah.
It is a main artery in town, maybe the main artery in town.
Yes.
Arguably it's definitely a bottleneck when
I was
it's busy.
bottlenecked today and I definitely followed a truck, definitely well over 3 tons. Over
Yeah, I guess,
behind me.
I don't wanna beat the source to death, but my main point is, for however many decades, traffic has been going over that bridge, and a lot of 3 to 6 ton trucks have been going over, and do we want to criminalize that section of vehicle? Or are we really concerned with the higher weight limit?
So right now, it's posted 3 tons. If this thing was written 4 tons or something, is that crazy to have a mismatch?
That was part, 1A of my question, and, I mean, because essentially we are saying now you can get tickets, because the sheriff was saying he couldn't do it before, right?
That's my understanding.
Okay, so the select board would be putting ticket liability on everyone over 3 tons, and I'm just not sure that we want to do that.
I'm sorry, why not?
Because so many vehicles are.
Because some, yeah.
Are over that. So many
and
standard.
have been going, so many vehicles in that 3 and 4. I don't know where, where my question comes. What is our true weight concern? And if it's 3 tons, then that's
They go down to Trombley's.
a lot, yeah. That's a big traffic pattern change in town for a lot of cars. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I don't think we should allow vehicles that are over the weight that the state has determined is a safe number, if I'm understanding you correctly. I mean, if the state recommends 3 tons, I don't know why we would want to. Some of these vehicles need to go down Trombley's.
Okay.
I mean, that's basically what we're saying. If you're a 4, 5, 6 tons, you shouldn't be going over that bridge. I mean, I know it's added distance, but the added weight deteriorates the bridge faster.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, I guess the point you're making, and I agree with this, there's more and more kind of standard passenger vehicles, particularly electric vehicles, that weigh more than that, more than 3 tons.
Really?
Just regular pickup
Yeah.
trucks.
Or-
Regular heavy-duty pickup trucks.
Yeah, heavy-duty pickup truck, even if it's...
EVs are pretty heavy though, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So, people that are making their daily commute that might live close to the bridge, and it's an inconvenience to go around, it's not impossible, but it's an inconvenience to go around, would be impacted. I have less sympathy, honestly, for like a contractor coming into town with a big trailer and all loaded up going across the bridge. Like, if they're coming from out of town, it's easy to take one of the other bridges that has a higher weight limit. But for the kind of general commuter getting in and out of town, where the bridge is the most convenient, and their vehicle's a couple 100 pounds over 3 tons.
Well, that's where officer discretion, enforcement discretion may be applied by law enforcement officers in case where minor overages do not pose a risk of structural damage. So it'd be a subjective call by the officer.
It would be very vague and basically
I'm-
not enforceable.
I'm
at that
saying
point.
kind of, they already have that discretion. If we put that specifically in writing, then it's, anybody's gonna kind of challenge.
Oh, you want to strike that?
I want to strike that, and I think a
Okay.
ticketing officer already has that discretion.
Okay.
Just like they do with other traffic offenses.
Oh, I'm fine with that.
I guess, yeah, I'm saying, I'll do speed limit changes so we can collect money. I 100% agree with. Are we sure we want to be the select board to put in the bridge weight ticketing? I don't know, like, given the reality of
Yeah.
what goes on over that bridge.
I guess I'd hate to do it without some kind of public notice to say, hey.
It's a
this
big
is-
deal, that's all
This
I'm
is a
saying.
very
Yeah.
big deal.
This is a very big deal.
It's been posted 3 tons for a decade. Like, is that like, in a way, like nothing's changing from public perspective. There's something in the traffic ordinance that now says shouldn't do that.
I do think passing it doesn't mean that, it doesn't preclude us from doing a real public outreach, which I think is a great idea, at minimum. Are you partially worried also about just like the unintended consequences of, let's say, a lot of people are ticketed, and so they have to change their traffic patterns,
Yeah.
or people start saying, well, I'm just not gonna come to Waitsfield, like, full disclosure, I'm not going to Warren Store anytime soon, because the speed bumps ruined my van, which I'm pretty bitter about.
I noticed.
It sounds like there's a lot of bitterness in Warren these
It sounds
days.
like they also, none of them were built to spec.
Yes.
so.
But, that was,
Yeah.
that was a consequence of, an unintended consequence of those speed bumps.
This-
And this could be similar.
Has some similar shades to me of that. If it is now an actually ticketable offense.
So why don't we write it to 3.5 or 4 tons? If the state recommendation is 3 tons, and that's what
Yeah, I was
posted with
just
the
hoping to
ordinance.
understand, like, this is where it comes from and what they believe is actually unsafe, or if it's just all covered bridges of that length or 3 tons, or, I just wanted more education and was concerned with the vagueness of.
Yeah, my guess is it's a little subjective, right, I mean, with, double it, yeah, probably pretty clear, you shouldn't be taking a 6-ton truck over the bridge. But within a couple 100 pounds, I'm guessing it's subjective based on the wood age and rot and all that stuff.
You know, looking at the inspection report now, it's not that clear. Like what the risk is.
I mean, it's a 35-page inspection, so it takes a minute to get through it.
Well, with a lot of
Well,
coded language.
Yeah.
Do we have the authority, if the state recommended weight limit is 3 tons, to incorporate a different number into our ordinance?
I can't answer that, because I don't know. That would have to be a question. I mean, again, we can push this to the next meeting, we can try to answer some of these questions, you guys can review the inspection report, we can reach out to V-Trans and the bridge person, probably specifically Scott maybe, and try to get some more, ask some more questions. Because I didn't talk to V-Trans when I wrote these parts at all. I mean, I'm fine, pushing this back another 2 weeks.
I mean, I think the reality is that even though the ordinance adoption process is supposed to be, public and engaged, if it's like a couple of lines that are added in an ordinance that's posted in the newspaper, your average person is not going to
No, we need to
go and read it. We would need to like be super clear.
Well, outreach, like
Yeah, exactly.
York was saying, definitely, let people know.
I'd be inclined to get more information about like what we have the authority to do. Basically, if we incorporate it into the ordinance, are we allowed to make a
They won't have to
decision
change the
outside of-
signs.
Well, are we allowed to do that?
To do what?
Change what the posted weight limit is?
Oh, I don't think so.
Probably not, so.
So you said that in the past, the select board has been reluctant to include it.
That's what the sheriff's department told me.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess
It
that makes sense
never-
to
It
me.
hadn't come up since I've been
A
on
little
board.
bit.
Yeah, he didn't say when.
Yeah,
I can only take him to
I'd be
word.
curious to know that too.
And that was Brett Meyer that told me that. Who's the,
So the reason was that it was not enforceable. Thinking because of the reasons that we're saying now. I understand.
Not realistically enforceable, yeah.
That's exactly what I was getting at, unless you're gonna take it, or unless, I'll leave it at that.
I mean, I don't have a real opinion, but on the flip side, I'll just say, like, let's look at the Meadow Road Bridge, that's very extremely broken down. What's the parallel for that? Like, right now, people come into our office downstairs saying, this is a real problem, because I have to go all the way to Moortown, and it's costing me a lot of money, but they're following the rules. And should they be following the rules? And I think we'd probably say yeah, because that bridge looks like it's gonna collapse. I don't know, I'm just trying to say, is there a parallel?
The number of vehicles that are over 8 laden tons is much fewer than those that are in the 3 to 8 or 3 to 6.
For sure.
Range, and they usually are special around the job or something like that. Whereas there's a lot of regular Joes driving 3 to 7. So.
It would be good to talk to the bridge folks at V-Trans, the covered bridge. in particular about, and I'd be curious how other municipalities deal with this.
Okay.
And I don't know how many other municipalities have covered bridge that are in such a critical, artery.
Exactly.
Well, you got, Northfield's got 3 of them
Right.
on Moortown Road.
Well, I can look at that. And, if we're pushing this, and maybe it's obvious, I don't think we should pass any of this, because the process to pass an ordinance is pretty,
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a lot of work for me, really.
Yeah, I'm sorry to throw a wrench.
It's not, no, I.
Well, no, it's a
it's not a big
This is
deal.
obviously something that the board has struggled with in the past.
Yeah.
And continues to.
I mean, I think just, at least a lot of the questions you raised are things that I thought of while doing this. And I mean, the unintended consequences is something, since, for a policy buff, because I love policy, I think about all the time. And I think they're questions that we should ask.
Yeah, and last time we talked about it, I hadn't gone to the NHTSA website and looked at curb weights and seeing how many regular vehicles probably have significantly higher than 3 ton. I forget what the term is, but actual weights, basically.
Gross.
Gross, yeah.
Right.
But the gross weight rating is actually the most they can carry, so you can't really
Oh,
go by
that's-
that.
yeah.
It's somewhere in the middle of curb and gross. So, complicated.
I was gonna say, I have not fully wrapped my head around the levels of complexity on that.
Well, I'll tell you that if you can believe AI on Google,
Which, I mean,
a Toyota
to your
RAV4
reference.
plug-in hybrid weighs approximately 4,235 pounds.
100%.
Yeah.
But that is under 3 tons,
Yeah.
4,200 pounds.
I'm sorry, you're right, I was thinking.
Yeah, no, but-
6,000.
But it's, this is a small car.
Right, going and looking.
But it's 2 tons, jeez.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Cars have gotten a lot heavier
Yeah.
over the past 30 years, not just electric, but, yeah.
Is
All that
there,
safety equipment.
Right.
if we,
Damn
I was gonna say, let's just strike this and come, but of the next section, if we're gonna push it to at least the next meeting or so, do you guys wanna look at section
Yeah.
7? Just so if
Yes.
there's any other work you want me to
Yeah,
put in.
yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
great idea.
Good call.
I just, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I think section 8, I think I actually.
Section
was-
7?
Section 7, page 7, section,
Page
oh,
7.
sorry, article 9, section
Article
7,
9,
section 8
okay.
highlighted.
Got it.
Gotcha. So it's a civil penalty, not a criminal.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I was using that word too loosely.
I mean, I think this is written correctly.
Imposing liability.
Yeah, I think Article 9 is fine. It's the article, the last one we were looking at, 7, that have the kind of subjective language that will get more information
So-
hopefully on the
And
weight
as of
bearing.
now, with your thinking going back to the Great Eddy Bridge, I don't know, but it sounds like getting rid of the, and that line bothered me, enforcement discretion may be applied. We would almost certainly agree to get rid of that.
I think that, yes,
Yeah.
in my,
That, and I think several of us, or I'm curious, I don't want to speak for anyone else, are curious whether you can put another number on there to,
Yeah,
say like, we're only gonna really ticket
like egregious,
5 ton.
overages or, yeah.
Um,
But I think regardless of what the language is before it, having the vague language after it makes it not enforceable. So I think striking that for sure
Yeah, I mean, the
makes.
problem with not posting it is the egregious violators we can't take it.
Right.
but I think we're,
100%, I'm trying to zero in on how do we really get the egregious violators. I'm not gonna.
yeah, how do we get it
It
right?
stays posted,
Yeah.
right? Nothing's gonna change with the signs, but, how do we achieve what we want without imposing liability on that?
On like 50%
Significant.
of the population, if not more.
It's a higher number than you might think. I can send around the the vehicle weights, but it's hard to figure out also. It's, and then the third thing is long-term concern for the bridge. If we really are concerned with 4-ton vehicles, then that's happening a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a three-parter for me.
So we will come back to this at the next meeting.
And I don't think that there's anything else in Article 9. I think basically objections to anything in Article 9 would have a lot to do with how Article 8 shakes out.
Yeah, although, I mean, Article 9 is, yeah.
It's just straightforward.
Yeah, straightforward.
I think I added a little to the Section 8, Article 9, from our last conversation about the ordinance. And then working with the Sheriff's Department again, that was the other section that I added to make it more clear. And then, with statute 1974A.
Yeah, I mean, we have pretty regular communications with the deputies who patrol down here, so it doesn't need to be in the ordinance to say, we're not out to go after every unloaded pickup truck, we really want you to go after the clear violators.
And right now, with who patrols our town, that's what they wanna do. And yeah, we have a great we're lucky with the 2 people that work in our town from the Sheriff's Department. But, I mean, maybe to Dave's point, I don't know if this was part of your point, was, those people aren't, stagnant like that, they're static, like new people come and go. And being aware that each deputy will be able to enforce policy as they see fit.
Mm-hmm.
And there could be a risk to that. If the select board agrees with Dave's, the risk of ticketing everyone at a 6,000-pound vehicle, which is definitely a lot of us. Okay, well, why don't I work on it and then we'll push it.
Very last sentence, any costs associated with damage to municipal property shall be pursued by the town, including through civil courts if necessary. Is that talking about, it's the very last sentence?
Yeah, no, I'm listening. I'm listening actively.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that any town property or just bridges, or what's the intent?
I mean, I think the intent is each violation of provision of this ordinance shall be deemed a separate offense. I think it's probably clear, or maybe it's not, that it's about the traffic ordinance.
Damage to municipal property.
Yeah, you could have as a result of violation of,
Yeah.
resulting from violation of this ordinance.
Mm.
Shall be pursued by the town, unless you were wanting to fold in all.
Yeah.
Well,
No, I think we want to deal with our bridges with this ordinance.
Right.
Right, that's, so it's, need to specify.
As
I
a result of
advocate-
violation of this ordinance.
Yeah, any cost associated with damage to municipal property as a result of violation of this ordinance shall be pursued.
I've been advocating having a fine for people who crash into the bridge.
Yep.
Just like they have a fine, $2,400 fine if you get stuck up in the notch in a big truck. Smuggler's notch. Oh, yeah.
I've been in support of that.
Because the last few, well, I think, all the bridge crashes we've had, they had to repair the bridge. We couldn't, there wasn't a police officer present, so we couldn't write them a ticket. And the driver, who should have known better or should have read all the signs, caused the problem. I would like to see those drivers fined. So I'd like to,
I never heard whether Passive was able to recover the insurance settlement from them. They were sort of trying.
I don't know.
So yeah, I don't know that a fine would be covered in costs associated with damage. I think we probably have to
This would
have
be a separate, this would be a
yeah.
separate paragraph. You smash into our bridge, you owe the town $1,500 or whatever. I mean, because we have costs every time.
Yeah, that would.
Yeah, putting
How much-
specific damages in as a way to just, you don't need to prove anything else.
Yep.
Once you've crashed into the bridge.
Yep.
You owe certain
Yeah,
amount.
covers our like administrative costs of pursuing
Yep.
Yeah.
insurance
Yeah.
claims and all that stuff.
Yep, exactly.
So you would want.
And as a deterrent.
Yeah.
So
Further
adding
deterrent.
to the traffic ordinance a paragraph with values to damages to the covered bridges.
A fine to the driver, I don't know exactly how you'd word it, but a fine to the driver who caused this whole problem, over and above, or not associated with the actual cost of repairs. They're gonna repair the bridge, but the driver should be fined, I believe.
Yeah, a punitive
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 5,000 is reasonable, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
No, I'm kidding.
I'm not sure what the right number is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know what the right number is, but I'm certainly.
That would, I'll have to look around and see what other things are, and then that maybe we'd run by the lawyer.
And Smuggler's
To make
Notch,
sure it's not gonna,
Smuggler's Notch is posted all over the place with flashing lights and everything, 2,400.
Well, now they've got that chicane.
Yeah.
Chicane. And the second day that they opened the notch, after installing the chicane, a truck got stuck.
oh, really?
No, in the mountain.
Oh, man.
That has been
The
an
town
issue
is-
for so many years.
The Rotary, I've been thinking about this for the Historical Society. I think it's the Rotary in Stowe has a pool. When will the first truck get stuck in the notch?
Oh, they did. Oh, my gosh.
Okay.
All right,
Aside, but
so.
So there is a section of statute on wooden bridges, and they do allow some discretion to the town in consultation with V-Trans. They also allow increased penalties. Municipalities can adopt ordinances that set a higher civil penalty up to $10,000 for the full cost of repairs for vehicle operators who damage a covered bridge.
perfect.
This penalty is in addition to liability for repair costs.
What are you looking, where is that?
Perfect.
Like what website are you on?
I am not in municipal statutes. I've been relying heavily on Google AI.
Yeah.
But there's a
So,
statute.
There is a statute, no, I was told
I was gonna
that,
say.
I was told there's a statute
Find
specific
find
to
the
wooden
primary
bridges.
source on that, yeah.
And this is so.
No, AI is a great way to start.
Yes.
Yes, it's a starting point.
Okay, I.
Trust
that's
but verify.
I'll
Yes.
start, I'll work on that for the next meeting and see where we end up.
So it's Title 23, Chapter 13. And
Just,
Okay.
special-
Sorry to hold us up, everybody.
No,
that's an
No,
important
that's
consideration.
fine. It's
Yeah.
important.
It's a
That's
big
why
deal.
previous boards never
Yeah.
come to,
It was easier to punt.
we're doing the hard work.
I think the next item is pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Rules of procedure update.
Well, maybe, I don't know. This is from our meeting in September, just in terms of talking about emergency meetings. This is largely just from what the LCT recommends, and what's legal. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not much room, but this is, the yellow highlighted area on page 2 is, what I wrote up for the rules of procedure, which we passed in March of this year, and I think we do annually, right?
Yeah.
Every
Yeah,
year,
we have
you
to
select
adopt
town
that.
meeting.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
this is fine, this is good. If we need a meeting in short notice, we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I have no problem posting a notice and sending an email or texting Lisa and some other press. And if we know it's an issue that, involves certain property owners or residents, we can try to let them know best we can.
That's all it's asking for. Do the best you can.
Here, I do appreciate some ambiguity with addressing urgent municipal matters. I think that that's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I think the state does that well in general, like in terms of roads and giving the road foreman, room to do what he needs to do to reopen a road, or it seems like the state does a pretty good job for those emergency
Is
hearings.
there like a standard email list or listserv or something for notifications? Like if Brian was out of town and
This is where the
We had
text.gov,
to-
I think.
we had to call an emergency
That's why I love text.
meeting, I don't know where the list is or who we
It's a
send
good
it
point,
to.
maybe, like, I have my
You have a
list,
list.
I
That's-
have my
that's the list.
email list.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
that,
maybe
you know, I'll
could
add a
just
name now and
circulate
then
that
people
to-
ask.
How do you get on or off that list?
Do you wanna get on?
No, I don't wanna get off, I wanna know
What the
Yeah,
methodology
if
is.
someone wanted to be on it.
They just let me know I have that.
People have died and stayed on the list.
Yes,
There are definitely people that get the email that maybe
don't want it anymore.
don't even require it, cause
Yeah.
it may have been Form
Great.
20, it's just been built probably over the years.
Yes.
Okay.
If it's not been obvious, there were some conversations early on when I was here, cause I just kept doing what Annie had been doing, and some were CC'd and some were BCC'd, blind copied, and so I just kept doing the same thing, and I changed, I think based on a conversation with Valerie actually, to just have staff and the select board as the only visible.
Yeah, and then
people.
BCC
Now I
everybody
BCC
else.
everyone else.
Yep.
I've been wondering about that list.
So, and that.
I actually used it when you were gone.
Mm-hmm.
JB got it?
Oh, good.
Yeah, so maybe it's worth sending
Maybe
that
I
around
can
to
put it-
us or
send it-
something, or posting it somewhere such that if we had to call a meeting when you're not around.
Maybe I'll share it with the town staff and put it on the server.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that way we could like physically come in and, yeah.
But the rules for conducting the meeting remains the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're
There has to
either
be
all
someone here.
here, or if it's Zoom, there has to be one person here
That's right.
anyway.
Sorry.
Should we make a motion?
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you looking for a motion to adopt the rules of procedure
Yes.
as amended?
Yes.
I would so move.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion on the consent agenda, you want to take the minutes off?
Yeah, it's just a really quick thing. It's
Okay.
carbon dioxide should be carbon monoxide.
Give me 1 second. Are we
It's
doing that now?
significantly different.
Well, we're doing the consent agenda
story
minus
for you
the
afterwards.
the
What?
minutes.
Okay.
I have a story for you afterwards.
So a motion on the consent agenda minus the minutes.
So move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Can I ask
And
one
then-
question? Do you mind if I ask one question?
Sure.
The opioid class action, I think there is something in there for you guys to sign. However, I think it might be easier to do the digital signature.
Okay.
Which I think I can sign if we can say that authorization is for me, if we're allowed. I
Yes.
think signing that would be good.
Yes.
But I think it'll be easier for the digitals, because there's a whole different set of
I agree.
rules.
Digital is always better.
That's fine,
Let's
let's
just
just go with it.
But yeah, if you guys could sign that, I think it is in there, I would like that as well. Thank you.
And then the minutes, so there's a reference to carbon dioxide.
So, yeah, it's on line 49 of the minutes. I would suggest that we amend CO2 to read CO. Because carbon monoxide is super duper dangerous and CO2 is
Dangerous.
dangerous, but less urgent.
I'm just gonna put CO
Yeah.
parentheses carbon monoxide.
Yes, thank you.
And by the way, can I just actually add, I visited, I think it's looking, it hasn't been wicked cold yet, but judging from the tenants, they feel like it's warmer this year than the past, so it's, cause this had not been serviced in years. It was thanks to Richard that he's like, I don't think this has been looked at for years, so that's why
Well-
we called Prings and had them do it.
We did it last spring, because it went off, and I went over there with the technician, and, yeah, it stopped running. He pulled it apart, and got down to the circuit boards and everything, and there was mice stuff all over. Yeah.
But was it a full service and?
It wasn't a full service, it was a repair.
Yeah, I don't.
But he, vacuumed and,
So I'm gonna just steer us, just given the time, do you need a motion to adopt the
Yes,
minutes
please.
am I allowed to make that motion if I suggested the change?
Yes.
Okay, I would move that we adopt the minutes as amended.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, Nimbus is getting hangry. It's-
Do you Nimbus 3000?
I don't have it.
What's that?
Nimbus 3000?
Nimbus 3000.
I have smart popcorn in my car.
I have a granola bar, it's okay. Continue. Oh, hello. Sorry, friends.
So, we're in the home stretch, other than town garage. scheduling for future meetings, I just wanted to throw out there that budget season's coming up. And I did reach out to Chuck Martell, the chair of the Facein Select Board, about getting on the schedule for a meeting with them. I'm pretty sure we hosted last year, so we would go to their meeting at some point. I suggested that we might want to consider going to the fire station to have the meeting, since that's a lot of the discussion. And the one time since I've been on the board, we had a meeting there. It was really educational and helpful to see the equipment and
That'd be great.
stuff. Yeah, and I mentioned that to the fire chief when I called him to let him know that we were talking about that pipe up the hydrant. And then also, I'm gonna be gone on the 10th, and probably not likely to zoom in. But you think you'll be here?
I will.
Okay.
I have made it so that I will be, but that will be the last one that I am
And
here
you'll
in
be
person.
zooming in through budget season, right?
Correct. And including, I don't know what the hybrid, sorry, I'm being rude. The
I think it's
hybrid
good.
capabilities are for, the fire station if we're having a meeting there.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Question.
I mean, we can make it work-ish,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm also happy to like go over there and poke around a little on my own, to get familiar with it ahead of time.
Presumably, we wouldn't do that on the 10th if you're not going to be here, right? We should
No.
No.
wait for the combined meeting with Facein.
Yeah, and as far as budget goes, I'll sit down with York, kind of the pre-process. Who we meet with. The big one is meeting with Josh and Charlie. I saw people are already sending in the ambulance service and in their requests already. You'll start seeing a lot of those.
We've gotten quite a few appropriation requests already.
Yeah.
Some might be new,
New ones have to go in the morning.
right?
Yeah. And then we should just expect to schedule every Monday in December. Hopefully we won't need it, but.
Okay.
Any other kind of scheduling?
So every Monday in December and January?
Oh, sorry, I meant January.
Okay.
Not every Monday in December.
I was
Every
gonna say.
Monday in January.
Every Monday in January,
Sorry.
Great.
So,
which I will be there for probably.
oh, really?
I mean,
Good.
When's your due date?
26th of January. So I will not be there for the last one in January, probably. But also,
The real thing is.
We'll
nobody-
see.
nobody
reality
knows.
is nobody knows, so.
Yeah.
I had babies once. I mean, my wife.
Your wife had babies once.
Yeah.
It felt like I
I was
was
gonna say,
part of the
tracks.
process, but
Yeah.
not many for sure.
So I will be there for I will be there long distance for as much as possible.
Do we wanna set anything even a little bit with the fire department, or we'll just acknowledging that something's gonna happen?
Let's wait to hear back from Facein,
Okay.
what they'd like to do. But yeah, we'll definitely need to meet with the fire department and with Facein, so.
Yeah.
And then we'll also have to remember the road agreement that we do with Facein.
Okay.
And we simplified that process last year, which was good.
Yeah.
So have we done the road agreement with Facein?
We do it every year.
Okay.
So
We did it last
it's a
year.
cost
Separate
sharing
from the-
agreement.
Got it.
I don't remember all of it, so we plow North Facein and Bragg Hill, they plow
Yeah, whatever.
others. So there's a long history of it.
I meant, not that road agreement, but the reimbursement for services. We're all set on that. The
fire
bilateral with No. Sorry, we've dealt with this, talked about it a couple of times at the planning district, and I can't remember if we talked about it here, but you remember when Facein didn't get, or Waitsfield didn't get reimbursed for helping Facein with the floods.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was I think, our own fault. And that was and Warren didn't get reimbursed for helping us because we didn't track the time.
Okay.
So you don't have to have a standing agreement with them, you just have to track the time?
No, you have.
Well, as far as FEMA's
You have to have a
concerned.
policy.
Yes,
Oh, I see.
yeah.
Okay.
And so I was just double checking.
Oh, no, okay.
I couldn't remember where we were on that.
I don't think we've dealt with it at
Okay.
all,
No,
but
I don't think so.
We've talked about it at the planning district a couple of times, and then also the idea of a larger, there's a Washington County one that's happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is
and I'll-
larger.
I shared that with Josh Rogers. He had a lot of struggles with it.
I think there's a reasonable perception among the folks who are in the middle of it that it works well now with the valley towns.
Yes, great.
And that could just be, we don't need something larger that would be complicated, but I think we should have a policy. I mean, right now, it's like, okay, Warren, you helped us go fill up your trucks with gas from our pump. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is, okay.
Better than nothing.
Works,
Yeah.
it works.
I mean, Josh thinks it's amazing. He definitely says what we have in the valley right now works very well. Should it be in writing? Probably.
Yeah.
Somewhat formalize it.
I mean, it really, we're more town-faced and Warren trucks going in all directions after the flood. So it really did seem to be working well.
Well, even the May 17th flood, we really helped each other, and it was great. This year, May 17th.
Yeah.
Took out Butternut.
So do we want to put that into a paper, maybe an annex into the emergency operation plan? Codify what they're doing?
That could be a good place for it.
Yeah, and it could be a pretty simple thing.
No, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
But codify it and put it as an annex to the
Yeah.
emergency operation plan.
And for the record, I'm not against what the CVRPC one is.
I was just reporting that that was talked about. But I think Josh Schwartz has a more bilateral or trilateral one policy that they're working on as well.
And that has more in it, I think, also. Well,
Yes.
I think Sam was.
Yes,
yeah,
okay, so
that's
you're
right. Yeah.
looped in on that.
I mean, ish, yeah.
Okay.
Town administrator
The only
report.
thing if you bear with me just for a second, share, I came up with 2 RFPs.
Yes.
The first one's not as complicated, it's FEMA funded-ish, it's about $17,500 to do the engineering of the 2 culverts on Old Center Facein and Center Facein. Like I said earlier, I met with Tyler Billingsley, our town engineer, earlier today, and we visited the sites. He says it's highly unlikely that's gonna be the cost, like, when we put it out the RFP and get proposals back, he thinks they could be double that. But I have an assurance from FEMA-ish that this is the first cost, and if proposals come in on more, they usually match that, so that should be covered. So I'll leave that there. The Meadow Road Bridge is a little more complicated. Fred and I were on a call, and I don't remember, Brian, you were there early summer with, I think CVRPC was there and V-Trans about the Meadow Road Bridge. At the time, the bridge engineer from V-Trans thought that there was a really good chance that we could put money into the Meadow Road Bridge and extend its life. And he made it sound like the cost-benefit analysis, the cost would be worth the 10 years maybe we'd get out of it. Tyler Billingsley is very, very, very skeptical that is the case. He visited.
Who's he?
He's our town engineer.
Town engineer?
Yeah.
The guy we have on retainer.
Yeah, okay.
It's been
yeah.
great. I mean, he's very responsive to my calls. Like I said, he visited. He said, I don't know, but he's very skeptical, and he did visit it and looked at it relatively closely this morning. With that said, it doesn't mean that we don't put out the RFP. The RFP is in 2 parts. The first part is FEMA funded for the surface, which FEMA will
Decking.
pay for that.
The decking.
And then the next RFP is what we talked about, and I think I included them in the packet. So if you'd like to look at it later, if you have any questions, let me know. I want to send it out later this week. CVRPC has reviewed them. They only had 2 minor changes, which I changed. FEMA is also looking at them. But the second part of the Meadow Road Bridge is to do a full, basically, evaluation of what it would look like. Could you add life to the bridge, and how many years would that maybe give? But to Tyler's point, if it's $100,000, it's gonna give you 5 years, that's probably not worth it. And that's what he thinks would probably be the case. If we don't want it to be above, if we don't want it to get up to the weight limit that the agriculture, like the farmers would like, that might be a little more reasonable. But to get it up to where the farmers would be able to use it like they had in the past, he's very skeptical. Could we add life to the bridge for keeping it at the 8 tons? Maybe. So if, my plan is to release those RFP, if that's okay with you guys. Oh, and the fire hydrant, I did reach out to Kingsbury. I talked to them on the phone. They have not supplied a quote yet for that Ralston and East Warren Road hydrant, just since it came in more than they budgeted. So I'll let you know when that comes in.
They said they would?
That's my
They just haven't
understanding,
yet.
yeah. They haven't yet.
Okay.
Select board roundtable?
Yep.
I just had a quick thing, so related to the planning district steering committee meeting. I've just been continuously struck over and over again by how awesome a resource the packet that Josh prepares is. It has huge numbers of grants and education resources and other things that both we and just regular people might like to know about. And so I wanted to, if you wanted me to, it's available on their website, but I could forward it. I could forward it with some things I noticed that might be relevant. I could, some combination of that, or if you want to just keep going and looking at it on your own, that's also fine.
It is a lot of information.
Dave, if there's ever anything that you were like, this is worthy, like maybe putting the town administrator report, just like Brian has said before, if something comes, it's a good training or something, including in the bottom of the administrator report is good. Maybe something like that would be similar, something that's really highlighted, we could
Great, and then
add it.
yeah, besides just us knowing about it, there's lots of opportunities, there's grants for improving private property, stuff like that, that's always in there. And it just brought me back to, if there's a place we want to have like a town block or where we can just tell people the things of interest besides these minutes.
Yeah, I think it's sort of circling back to a previous conversation about what it looks like for the select board to, or for the town to be engaged in communicating with the public. That looks like it.
So I just wanted to raise that again, but I don't have any conclusions right now, so wanted to put that back on our agenda.
And did you hear anything about the town meeting committee?
I have a representative from the PTA, and no one else has stepped forward, so, I guess that's me, them, and someone else.
What's that?
You're on it with?
I said that.
Yeah. So,
he goes to a lot of meetings, but Josh is a Waitsfield resident and voter, and he was very excited about the work that they did in Bethel.
Yes, very.
It'd be good to see if he would maybe.
Okay.
And maybe, that would be, would that be worth putting something in Front Porch Forum, or is that too
Yeah.
broad? Just be like,
Yeah,
you're
no,
interested.
I had not done that yet,
Because I think I could think of a few people, I can't remember who they are, but that have like seemed really good, that have expressed interest, like in March.
Yep.
Anybody else? Fred?
No, I'm good.
Josh? Melissa?
Just had a quick, so I've started putting out feelers for sort of the subcommittee. I haven't gotten any information back yet. I've had a conversation with Eric Friedman today.
How did that go?
One-on-one with him is different than in meetings. No, it was good. It was informative. I got a lot of history, which for me personally is what I don't have. And he has basically said that, they have a listserv that they send communications out about things, and that he'd be happy to leverage that if we are looking for input from the community.
Are you here tomorrow, Larissa?
I am, yes.
Do you want to meet tomorrow?
We can do that.
Okay, that'd be good, I'd like that.
Yeah, let's do that.
I have some ideas.
And then I also had a tri-town traffic calming, which I know is, traffic calming is kind of an ugly word right now. I know. And I had something specific. Where does the money for striping come from? I know that the state does it,
Well, we have money in our budget
In our
for
budget.
town road.
Okay.
And I
So,
haven't followed up with you about, I wanted to talk about the striping the other side of the bridge and a complaint we had, and just give Josh's input.
yeah.
Okay.
So at some point that is
And
not
the parking
now,
zone?
I'd love to find out a little bit more about what our options are for striping, because Warren's section of East Warren Road, they have the middle two stripes, and then they have, white lines on the side.
Yep.
Yeah, the
And I
state
feel like-
only pays the middle,
They
That's all.
only,
The state pays for class 1 roads.
but
which
not
are-
the side
Not class
striping.
1, class 2 roads, like the East Warren Road.
okay,
But they only pay for the middle striping, they
Yes.
don't pay for the side striping.
okay, so, but do they have to do the side striping if it ends up getting done, or we contract that separately?
We contract that.
Okay.
We did the white striping on the other side of the bridge.
Gotcha. Okay, so I think basically at some point I'd like to look into what it would take for that to be continuous.
Yeah, I mean, we can get a price for that for sure.
The problem was, we had a real hard time getting somebody to do it this year.
Mm.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Other quick thing was at some point I will ask you, Brian, how we managed to get the common road speed limit lowered to 30. Was there a traffic study?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, that was gonna be my next question.
CVRPC did the traffic study and it justified 30.
Got it, all right. That's all I got.
Motion to go into executive session for personnel and contract negotiation.
I'd make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bio break.